Yo, what up, what up, what up, and welcome everybody to the Church of Jesus Christ is not a bitch made nigga. Man, listen, all right. Neffel asked me, he said, when is the Church of Jesus Christ is not a bitch made nigga coming back? And I was like, yo, look, all right, let me keep this 100 with you. It's, I mean, it'll come back whenever the fuck I say it comes the fuck back. I'm gonna do an episode tonight, right? Because, like, you know what? Why not? You know what I mean? And TK paid me $15 to try to help him make sense of the euro dollar system and how to explain to y'all where we are, right? You know what I'm saying? Because what TK has been telling me, all right, and how he's been explaining to me is that we have lost $50 trillion in motherfucking growth over the past 12 years, right? And to be able to grasp that concept as a human being, we tried to find a way to make this understandable for normal people, right? And here's what we came through. Basically, we took 50 trillion, divided it by 48%, which is labor share of motherfucking production, right? And then we took it and divided it by 160 million, which is 160 million people. And it came out to $150,000 for each regular worker in the economy of the United States. Important mentality in the end of the day. Important mentality to fully understand when it comes down to it. So, with that being said, that's $150,000 a person over 10 years. That's $15,000 in pay. You're missing by the fact that $50 trillion in motherfucking wealth is missing out of our economy due to the economic downturn, which started in motherfucking 2008 and has not ended yet. Is that where we are?
That's where we're at. I mean, only nitpick there would be that it's over 15 years, but yeah.
I mean, you look, I'm trying to make it comprehensible to human beings, right? Because 15 years, a number per year goes way the fuck down, right?
Yeah, that's fair enough. Also, I didn't give you $15. I gave you $14.88.
Oh, man, listen, all right, because when I fucking cashed it out of my joint, it was like $14.12. You know what I mean? Because like they take a fucking cut and shit. Like it is what it is. And by the way, any of y'all that want to see videos made, want me to break something down, want me to watch something, want me to do anything for y'all need to hit that motherfucking Streamlabs description and leave me a motherfucking note. And by the way, like while we're streaming, leave me a fucking Streamlabs as an in general thing. By the way, let me say what up to Kanakastani, Ballistic Zero, and Johnny Boy, who are in the chat thus far. More people will join. You know how fucking Susan Wojcicki feels about my motherfucking church. You know what I mean? She fucking does not like the fact that we'll be out here slapping the bitch out of niggas and shit. You know what I mean? So you want to stand here and start with the basic premise of why the system collapsed in 2008 and what has motherfucking changed since then?
Okay, so that one's actually fairly easy. The first thing that you got to do is look at what we're told is happened and consider, like, is that borne out, right? We've been told multiple times that, like, the Fed, the government, all these types of people are just like flooding money into the system, right? To bail out the economy, to bail out the banks, to do all this type of stuff, right? But then when we look at every single economic outcome that has happened over the last 15 years, it has been textbook deflation. So we got to ask ourselves, like, are we fucking crazy, or are we being fucking lied to here in some aspects? Because we are told that there's just abundant cheap credit everywhere, but I'm pretty sure...
What up, Jim McIntosh?
Hey, what up, Jim? I'm pretty sure almost everybody, at least who's on this channel, has been turned down for a fucking credit card. And that's not something that should happen in an era of cheap credit, right? You shouldn't see asset prices just going massively up, because there should be capital investment, right? People should be investing in things that are illiquid, hard, and very, very speculative. not things that are very, very safe bets and can be liquidated easily, right? Everything that we see in our economy today, or at least the vast majority of them, can be explained by a lack of currency. And I mean specifically currency, because there's just not enough of whatever makes me be able to trade with you for all the economic activity that could happen to happen. If
So
you start,
why do we not have enough currency? Because like I feel like
go for it.
the story that's been told, right? And the story especially that's being told by like MMT individuals and people on the left and I mean individuals on the right is that the United States government spends entirely too much money and we fucking run the hook for all of like the banks bailouts and things of this nature, right? But like, yo, Desert Coyote, what up? Daily Donkey, Salty Dabs, how the fuck you doing, man? Nice to motherfucker see you out here, right? So, what I mean, explain to me why it is that you think we don't have enough currency.
Well, um, I think probably a good place to start here would be the fact that we don't actually have a central bank. There is basically one central bank in the world right now that actually does banking money things, and that's the Central Bank of China. And they are the most strict and classically Keynesian institution ever. Basically, like that they for whatever reason, they've been able to, up until I want to say like 2010.
This is gonna be an educational one, fellas. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
Just so
right.
y'all know. I mean, I've been listening to this motherfucker for like 2.5 hours now, and like I'm still trying to catch up. So like I'm trying to like put this in the most basic terms for everybody so we can have a basic understanding exactly what's going on. By the way, anatomically correct, Liberty Prime's in the chat. Welcome, my brother. Welcome. Nice to see y'all out here. You know what I mean? And
All right.
Jacob. Mm.
One thing to address here, Jim McIntosh, is that when I say inflation, I mean an increase in the supply of currency units, not necessarily that consumer prices aren't going up. Because during deflationary events, two things happen. Commodities go up because all commodities can be used as like a pseudo currency. So they go up in value because they can be used when you don't have enough actual money, right? Like if you can't get enough dollar bills, right, you get whatever else you can trade, be that gold, be that coal, anything else, right? So commodity prices go up sometimes in deflationary conditions, depending on exactly what's going on. Wages also go up during deflationary conditions because of survivor biases, or at least reported wages. Because what happens is, who's the first person you're going to lay off if there's a downturn? The people you can replace. And there's also the fact that once you start getting less actual work coming in, like workers don't like we're not vending machines of labor. You have to keep a person occupied a certain amount per week. You have to pay them a certain amount per week in order for them to show up before they find another fucking job. So because of all these different, not necessarily intuitive reactions, the reported wage rate goes up during deflationary depressions and economic downturns, because you like labor's in a unique condition here, in that you have to buy a certain amount of it per week or you lose that supply, right? And so because of that, you get wages going up during like the entirety of the Great Depression. Every year of the Great Depression, average reported wages went up. I'm going to say that again. Every year during the Great Depression, average reported wages went up, right? So part of this issue is that deflation and like this is straight out of Keynes even. Deflation affects commodities and labor first. And it does, and deflation is much worse for especially laborers than inflation is. So the reason why we don't
Okay, hold up. You gotta say what up to Samaj, my brother, man. Listen, y'all want some really good art, you'll need to holler at that motherfucker. Like legit, that is the best motherfucking artist on like the internet, as far as I'm concerned. Like, yo, fuck Banksy, you know what I mean? Like, yo, fuck all these, you know what I mean? Like real actual artists. Yo, Samaj is the motherfucking dude. Like legit, who like you need to go see if you want something drawn. Just keeping this a buck with you. You know what I mean? Yo, fucking go ahead, my brother. Keep on rocking. I'm saying so. Like, all right,
I just can't believe you just threw Mike under the bus like that. I mean,
yo, man, listen, Mike paid him to do work. All right, at the end of the day,
that's
yo, yeah. And by the way, so like the whole premise of commodities going up during motherfucking deflationary cycles. Think about it like this. Like basically if you have something that is like eminently tradable, like for instance, you know, like MBS products, or you know what I mean, like gold certificates or treasuries, right? Those things will actually go up in price because like they are tradable immediately, right? You know what I'm saying? You have something that, you know what I mean, isn't motherfucking affected by the motherfucking deflationary cycle at that moment. You know what I mean? It's kind of the situation. Let's keep rocking though.
And it's easier to get a hold of than more money is critical there.
Right. It's worth money, right? So like if you need money and you're in a deflationary cycle, right? You know what I'm saying? And you need cash. And so like a deflationary cycle, yeah, I want to say this, right? And I don't know if I'm right. Tell me if I'm right. Like literally a dollar will gain in motherfucking value during a deflationary cycle.
It will gain in purchase, like it will gain in a percentage of overall purchasing power, right?
Yes. That's what I'm saying, right? So like it'll gain in value as per like its ability to motherfucking be traded for goods and services, things of this nature, what a currency does. You know what I mean? As a whole. Like that's the purpose of a fucking currency, is to motherfucking be traded for goods and services and its ability to buy more things, right? So if you have things that are all of a sudden they're worth currency, they will become more fucking valuable, especially if they're easily tradable, like, you know what I mean, treasuries and motherfucking securities and, you know what I mean, bonds and things of this nature, right?
Yeah.
Or stand-ins for real goods, like, you know, fucking oil futures, for certificates, things of this nature.
Yeah. Desert Coyote is definitely onto something there. As far as pristine collateral, I don't know about the commodity super cycle. I feel like it's going to get like choke itself off for reasons we'll probably get into later. Maybe, I don't know. This is definitely a topic where we can like very easily get derailed. And it's really difficult to talk on it because each one of those derails is actually worth like getting into the weeds on, but we can also just get completely distracted by something we didn't mean to talk about.
I mean, like, like one of the reasons, like, I like covering things like economics as a whole is because of the fact that, like, everything that's tied to economics is literally part of like human civilization, right? And I mean, and I'm ultimately like one of the big things that I really love doing as a whole, and that's why, like, you know, like when I went to go to college, one of my minors was motherfucking anthropology because I love the study of people. You know what I mean? Right. And so like that's kind of where I get down and dirty with it. I'm like, I love the study of people and societies and history and like the reasons why individuals do things, not just that they do them. And so economics is ultimately the study of what like human beings value inside of their society, and again, general motherfucking given thing. Right. And the interactions of how individuals trade goods that they're willing to motherfucking do labor for, motherfucking grow in their motherfucking backyard, whatever the fucking case may be. So, you know what I mean? Like I'm fully with this. Now, to give a little context and like history to this idea, and this is something that like I'm still having a hard time wrapping my head around. And I'm gonna need you to take me to school a little bit on some of this stuff, right? Because like my understanding of things is either A, outdated, or B, completely wrong, because a lot of the economics I learned were from guys like fucking Peter Schiff and motherfucking Alex Jones and Ron Paul, and having that understanding as a whole, right? Explain to me what, like, when they say they're setting the interest rates, right? And by the way, Stray said to me, "How you doing, man? Nice to see you out there." Right? Fucking, what do they say? What do they mean when they say like the fucking Fed is setting the fucking interest rates?
Okay, so there's a couple different things they have on that. They have the federal funds rate, which is a rate of interest that they will pay for, I believe, cash deposits at the Fed, right? Um, and in theory, that's supposed to be like a floor for below which interest rates should not drop, for a lot of reasons that, frankly, I don't understand yet. Like, this is kind of a Gordian knot we're kind of trying to swim through here. Uh, it turned into a ceiling. Don't ask me how. Like, I'm still trying to figure it out. But basically, the federal funds rate ends up being an effective ceiling for the interest rate that ends up being charged, at least intrabank, right? And um, so, and then they also have a what's called a reverse, what they call a repo rate, which is a interest rate that they will charge to do an asset swap, right? And they do repo and reverse repo. Basically, one of them is that a private bank gives the Fed cash or collateral, and then the Fed gives collateral back to the bank. And reverse repo is the opposite of that, or one is opposite of the other. I forget which way it is. Um, and one of the things you'll notice really quickly on this, and one of the reasons I'm super interested in it, is because all of this is, to understand all of this, you have to take a look at it from the aspect and mind sheet of, you're looking at a very, very complex set of ledgers, and you can only read certain ones, right? Um, and that's why I like it, because I'm extremely autistic. And I like looking at large sets of numbers and trying to fill in the gaps. But a large so anyhow, so there those are there are
I
those.
feel like you did not really explain what the fuck they mean when they say they're setting the interest rate.
Right. So they've got sorry, they've got several different interest rates that they set, right?
Okay.
One is just basically an interest rate that you would get like you would at a deposit at a bank, right? Um, and for a lot of reasons, that actually ends up being like a ceiling, not a floor, even though they, like, all their literature says that it should act like a floor for interest rates. Like, if they set it at 1%, interest rates interbank should not go below 1%. But they did that, and what happened was that interbank interest rates did not go above 1% after that. So that, again, that's something and a mechanism that I'm not entirely savvy on, but that's a thing. Um, then they have what's called repo or reverse repo rates. Basically, these are rates that they charge to either borrow money, it, that uh, they charge for a collateralized loan with the Fed, or a rate that they charge, that the red Fed charges to lend collateral into the market. Because one of the things is that since the Fed has like all these MBS products, all these assets on their balance sheet, one of the things that they do is they loan these items back into the market so that they can be used for like collateral, used for trading, this type of purpose, right? Uh, And then finally, they have what's called interest on excess reserves, or IOER. And what these are if you have specifically bank reserves, which are not money, they're an asset that the Fed can issue that's denominated in dollars. Banks take these, and if they put them on deposit with the Fed, then the Fed will pay them a lend to banks. Adam Hartz. We're talking about this from the standpoint of a private bank doing a interaction with the Federal Reserve. Just to be clear here, because the Fed interacts with the banks interact with the public and business communities, this type of thing. So what the IOER is a interest rate that the Fed will pay for you giving these like laundromat tokens that they conjured out of thin air and handed out to banks in order to give them bailouts. Which, by the way, that's how those bailouts worked until the fiscal aspect hit. They just gave these. Go for it.
All right.
Did I explain what interest
all right.
rates
So,
are there?
all right. So basically, when they say like everybody's waiting for like during the Fed minutes or whatever it is to find out whether or not they're going to raise the interest rate, right?
Right.
From my understanding is that the banks borrow money from the Fed on a regular basis, right? And this is how like they end up with the collateral to be able to give out things like loans, right? And am I wrong here?
They do now. So this is going to be one of those things where like the one sec.
Explain to me like why
Right. So
why was interest rate so important as a whole, right? Because like
okay,
where are they setting these fucking interest rates? Because like the whole thing doesn't make any goddamn sense to me. Because like what you were telling me is that like the Fed doesn't do anything, and I'm like, well, but the Fed sets interest rates, which does something.
Like no, not really. Like it's literally. I've heard some people call it a puppet show. I've heard some people call it pornography.
What money is the Fed setting interest rates on?
Okay, so the Fed has a ledger, right? And what can happen is that they've got certain assets and they've got certain liabilities, right?
Okay.
So banks can open an account. Well, most banks have an account with the Fed, right?
Yeah. Right.
And so on that book, which is only one of several books that like a bank has, right? Because they've got their book with the Fed, they've got their private book where they presumably collate everything, but that depends on the bank. And then they've got the books that they have with private dealers, and then they have books that they have with other banks, right? So part of the problem here is that like we're not talking about a to B type thing here. Like we're talking about a network, right? This thing is a web. And what the Fed does is they control their book. They control their book. So this means that they can set rules for interbank loans, for example. And to like vastly oversimplify it, they can say that, however much is available to be lent out, and they're targeting an average of 5%, right? So what ends up happening is they assess the credit worthiness of every single bank, and then they just that has applied for this credit, and then they like dole it out until it all averages out to the percentage that they wanted in one of their programs. Like, and this is another one of these things where like the Fed has a bunch of different types of programs that don't do a whole lot except generate rent for bankers. and not even that much.
I mean,
Like
all
it,
right. So like the Fed, all right, the Fed has to pay the fucking Treasury for selling Treasury bills, right?
right? The
And they
like
keep
the
a certain
Fed does.
percentage of it. Right.
Right,
They
right.
keep a
So
certain percent, whatever the fuck it is, right? You know what I mean? For like, like got paid the fucking employees or whatever. You know what I mean? All the bullshit they do and like the fucking systems that they have and all the nonsense and the real estate and all the shit that comes with it. Now, all right. The real question is when they say they're setting the fucking interest rate, right? Like from what I understood, all right, as a whole, when you create a dollar, right, that dollar is denominated from a motherfucking either a treasury or the US motherfucking government, right?
no,
And yo, it has to be either
nope,
because if it's not, because if it's not, then you're literally committing motherfucking what the hell is that shit when like you create money
forgery. Yeah.
forgery, yeah, you're forging, right? And you can't just be forging money.
Well, and this is kind of where we start splitting hair here, right? Because the dollar is a international reserve currency, private reserve currency, meaning like the Fed has very little to do with the international dollar. The vast majority of dollars are nothing more but units on balance sheets.
Yes.
So right. So what ends up happening, like you're not wrong that the US is the only source of physical dollars. You're right. However, we don't use physical dollars for the vast majority of transactions. Like even personally, like I have more cash than I probably need on me, and I have like a couple $100, right? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so like if that's the case for me, just some jackass who can use it to go buy gas, go buy candy, go buy cigarettes, go use that fucking vending machine, that type
I
of
mean,
thing.
I realize there's two separate dollars, right? You know what I'm saying?
Well,
There's a wait.
go
This is
for it.
important, right? Because like there's two different dollars. There's the $1 that chases like bread and eggs and milk and you know what I mean butter or whatever. You know what I mean we're at your grocery store. But then there's a dollar that's out in the international market, you know what I mean, fucking like trading commodities between Cyprus and motherfucking India. You know what I mean? And like that's a whole different dollar and we'll never see it. But the
No,
thing is
but,
though, what
all right. So that's actually where you're wrong. The majority of liquidity for like your fucking checking account, money market account, this type of thing, most of the actual operating margin that banks work off of, they borrow from overseas.
oh yeah. But let's be honest here, right? You know what I mean? Like
No, that's important,
it's a
right?
very small portion of the currency base as a whole.
No, it is the overwhelming majority.
No, the very small portion of the base is what's here in the US.
Oh yeah. Like
Right.
the overwhelming, but my point, it more specifically, is that you do have an issue where these $2 are convertible, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, like I could
And
take my dollars and walk out of the fucking. Well, if I was able to get a passport, I could walk out of the fucking U.S. and go to another country and trade them. You know what I'm saying? Internationally, for whatever the fuck good I need. You know what I mean? Like, I can go over there and I can go buy like a fucking, fucking whatever the fuck it is, like a Royale with cheese in France or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like,
yeah. And
like
the other thing we gotta keep in mind here is that the dollars that we use are liabilities of the banking system,
yeah,
right? So like fundamentally we have a different use, we have a different entire mindset on what it is. But unfortunately, like what happened was about fucking in the early 40s and 50s, um banks in London just started making loans denominated in dollars without having any dollars to actually back it. And since then, the system of private interbank lending has been the number one source of US dollar denominated assets in the world. And this ledger money, which is not a new concept, by the way, like we had prototypical versions of this that were actually very formalized in Navi's neck of the woods down there, Argentina way, like South America. They had like a formalized ledger where a bunch of people kept track of like their dollar denominated assets and liabilities, but there were no actual dollars in the system. They were just using it as a unit, right?
Yeah.
So basically, this is what these banks have been doing since like the 40s or 50s at the very least. This is what broke Bretton Woods, by the way. Like, because like all of these dollars were just loaned into existence and then cashed in, and there's no way for you to make that much gold. There's just no way for you to do it.
Hmm.
And the problem was that everybody had like their
Hold
national
up. Let me say hi. What up, Enclave Harden? What up, motherfucking Michael Hatfield? Nice to see y'all out here. Man, listen, look, I'll be real. You know what I mean? My brain is damn near fried from talking to this motherfucker for 2 hours, if I'm honest with you. You know what I mean? But I'm gonna try and like bring y'all this information because it is super goddamn interesting, right? And let's stop for a second with the London thing and let's get back to the fucking South America thing because it's really fucking interesting what happened down there. Basically, didn't they get cut off or something, TK?
During the First World War, we just didn't have enough dollars to export to South America.
Okay, yeah, they got cut off. And so instead of them being able to, you know what I'm saying, like do business with Wall Street or whatever the case was, they just started keeping track of their dollars on books, right? And like who owed what to who, all these type of things. And when they did so, they created a ledger-based system that literally didn't have any currency in it. It was all fucking credit, right? And that's kind of where that's basically where we are today, right, TK?
Yeah, except like basically what happened was like understand that first of all, that system that you just described is like a paper and pencil based version, very low tech, of Bitcoin, right? Just to
Yeah.
some extent.
Yeah.
And what happened was like bankers can always afford the neatest and coolest toys, and telecommunication technology really took off. And so what happened was that once they had telecommunications technology and ledger money, bankers just started doing crazy shit all the time because they were making retarded amounts of money doing so.
Okay. So with that being said, right, with all these dollars outside of the US and I'm assuming, right, that these international banks are doing business with the Fed. They are, right? Like these, especially central banks as a whole, are doing business with the Fed. And they're taking out loans or buying treasuries and using them and, trading them in on a regular basis. Right. And that's part of what setting the interest rate does to the market as a whole. Right.
I mean, that's definitely part of it. I don't know if I've said this already, but I will say this again. The only central bank left in the world that actually does anything with money
it's China.
is China.
Right. Yeah.
PBOC. So the best way I can describe it is that when they say that they're setting interest rates, what they mean is they've got like a bunch of freaking like little rules, regulations, targets, and all this bullshit that they can do with their normal everyday lending transactions with all of these different banks. in order to basically push up or down the front part of the yield curve, usually, which is typically bond prices with maturities less than 5 years, usually, depending on exactly what conditions we're talking about, right? Because like part of what makes this really difficult to piece out is that the Fed, like a bunch of our institutions, contradicts themselves constantly, right?
By the way, like, we're live on Twitch as well. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to really build that up, but I'll be honest with you. I'm like, fuck it. Why not if I can stream over there? Desert Coyote, you've had a lot to say in the chat. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're interested in coming in and, discussing some of this, you can come in and, try to break down your part of it. You know what I mean? By the way, what up, You Can't Fool Pops? Nice to see you out here. And B Token. Man, listen, you're probably going to be really bored with this stream. I'll be perfectly honest with you. But like, it is what it is. Right. But anyway, put the link in the motherfucking chat if anybody wants to come in and motherfucking try to, like, like, ask questions, that I'm not asking about this, because, like, I'll be real. Like, I'm trying to hammer down to figure out, like, exactly, like, what the architecture is of all of this, because, like, most of what TK is saying is almost all new information to me. You know what I mean? And so, like, this is why, like, I'm having a really hard time understanding a lot of it. And, like, every time he says some shit, I'm trying, what up, motherfucking, Oh, wait, Anna Thomas has already been here. Right? You're fucking, like, I'm having a hard time trying to come up with, like, really good questions to ask you to try to get you to the point of where, like, you can explain this in a really simple manner. But, let's keep rocking. Like, explain to me, like,
And I'd just like to point out
I
here
kind
that
of want to know, like,
I've
like,
just done
what
like
is being, like, fucking, what is they paying interest on that they're setting the interest rate? Like, what are
gotcha.
they paying on? That's the mentality. Like, why does, like, setting the interest rate matter? Because, like, what is it that they're borrowing that they're paying interest on? What is it as a whole?
Ledger entries at the Fed, basically.
All right. So, and who is borrowing money from the Fed that they're paying interest on?
Most commercial banks.
Okay. And, like, does this happen often?
On a daily basis, because the way that the Fed does FedWire, right? And by the way, I believe September 25th, 2020 or 2021, I forget what which of the two. Just keep an eye on that date whenever you're looking at economic data. I'm not positive if it's going to be particularly relevant, but that that date keeps coming up. What happened was basically FedWire is like a telex system that the Fed runs so that the banks can talk to each other. Like it's like phone line Facebook for banks, right?
Okay.
And basically the reason why the Fed runs it in is because, like, they're the banking regulator, and so if you need to establish a standard for communication, like, they're the people to do it, right? And so they run all the servers, they run all this type of nonsense for interbank communication, Fedwire, right? On
Okay.
on September 24th, I believe it's either 2020 or 2021, their servers just crashed, right? Didn't work for, and what happened was the next day there was a treasury bill auction and yields spiked because all of the banks who normally bid were busy trying to get their backlog of trades dealt with from the previous day. So
Oh, that was 2020.
yeah, 20.
That was when that repo market thing went fucking bananas.
Right. So since that day, all sorts of crazy shit has, like, that day, for whatever the fuck reason, once you, like, start tracing trends back on a lot of modern things, like lot of modern economic graphs. That date just keeps popping up all over the fucking place. I don't know if it's going to be significant in like 5 years, but like I think that's a date we're going to have to keep an eye on, because I think that's going to be up there with forget the date in 2006 that like the yield curve inverted, and everybody who knew anything about finance was like, shit's about to get crazy pretty quick here.
And I'll be honest with you, man. Like, yo, I hear a lot of people talking about that yield curve shit, and God, man, I can't. I fucking just, I can't. It's like listening to Peter Schiff. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yo,
Oh yeah,
goddamn,
yeah.
like sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. You know what I mean?
No, for predicting American recessions over the last 50, 100 years, it has called 10 of the last 11 recessions.
Yeah, but the yield curve inverts all the fucking time at this point.
Yeah, because we've gotten well, first of all, like you can't just look at the absolute numbers, right? You have to look at the overall shape, like it, and you're not wrong if it sounds kind of like reading tea leaves a little bit. But what you're doing is you're starting at first principles of, okay, what am I looking at first of all? What should this look like if
What
it's
up, Woody?
healthy? What up, Woody? And then what does it not look like, and where is this breaking down? Right? Like, for example, the inverted yield curve that we have right now, right? That means that short-term rates are higher than long-term rates, right? And that shouldn't happen as an in general thing. Like, you should not get paid more for a short-term investment than for a long-term investment, like as an in general principle thing. That's because the yield curve is actually two different curves. It's the short end and the long end. The long end is the overall growth and inflation expectations. That's Erwin Fisher. I believe that's the economist's name, and he told us this in like the 40s or 50s, and it wasn't controversial then. People were like, "No shit, Sherlock."
I mean, I don't know. I mean, because like, let's keep this a buck. You know, I mean, like if a mortgage costed, if a mortgage fucking interest rate was 24%, we fucking lose our goddamn minds. But we don't. I mean, that's normal for a fucking, low credit fucking car loan.
I mean, you're not wrong, but
I mean, short term loans always cost more than long term loans do.
yeah, but you're talking about cost versus like risk versus reward, right? Um, the thing is that like you're looking at it from the wrong end, right? You're using the interest rate as a consumer and not as a bank, right? The bank does not want to make less over the long term than over the short term, right? Stop thinking like you're going to get a bunch of shit for free, because that's not what the long-term interest rate being low means, right? What the long-term interest rate being low means is that all these financial institutions cannot find a single other investment rather than the goddamn federal government, the most insolvent institution known to man,
Yeah.
right, to invest in for more than basically 7 years, because everything else is too fucking risky. That's what the long-term interest rates being low is telling you.
Yeah. All right. Hang on. Let me address some shit in the chat. When it collapses, you will have an uncomfortable rise in interest rates in the 10-year yield, in my honest opinion. I'm not absolutely sure what the motherfucker say. Surplus karma. I want to say, yo, what up, man? Yo, let's keep it a buck, my friend. Yo, I'm down. You know what I mean? Yo, fuck the banks. Y'all feel you. I feel you. Fucking
Desert Coyote is actually spot on there with the 10-year and the DXY, although maybe not necessarily the way he's talking. The lower the DXY goes and the higher the 10-year yield goes, the higher stocks go. As an in general thing, if you're going to be playing that fucking lotto game.
Yo, bearded bastards in the motherfucking house. Yo, Ace, my nigga. How the fuck you doing, man? Nice to see you out here. Right. What is the DXY? Yo, all right, go ahead. Yeah, let's break. I mean, yo, look, again, dude, this is 101 for niggas. You know what I mean? Remember, like, yo, you're talking to like dudes who, I mean, they follow me for like a whole bunch of different reasons, whether it be, you know, I mean, because I'll be telling niggas to eat a dick or because, like, you know, I do economics. So let's, you know, I mean, let's break. What is the DXY?
Okay, so it's the dollar index. It's how many dollars you can, how many of other currencies you can get for $1, right? Specifically, with the DXY, it's very heavily weighted to the euro, and it's basically all euro, right? So when the DXY goes up, that means you can get more euros for the same number of dollars. And when the DXY goes down, you can get less euros for the same amount of dollars. And the way it ends up working, as far as a lot of things go, is that when
Yo, Johnny boy, nigga, I've been lost in this conversation like 12 times, right? Like legit. You know what I mean? Because like, yo, this is some real deep fucking economic
sorry,
shit. You know what I mean? let's keep this 100. Surplus karma. Let me address this real quick. All right. So if you like being able, right? Right. Thank you, Zentris. It's nice to see you out here. Man, I'm gonna give you a wrench as soon as I motherfucking find my goddamn phone. Right. All right. So, like, here's the thing. So I understand, like, yo, like you say, the banks get zero sympathy from you, but they're a necessity, right? Like, legit. Like, you have to remember, if you want to be able to like have things like people being able to buy houses, or, you know, what I mean, like your ability to buy a car, or people be able to retire, or individuals to be able to like, you know, fucking like invest their money and, you know, fucking like grow it, these type of things, you need banks, right? Like it is what it is. Like you have to have fucking banks, and they serve a purpose, right? But the problem is that the bank is only able to do like what our economy and our social civilization exists to do at the moment, right? So like right now, we're at a level of where they are set up for something that can't exist, and that's kind of where the fuck we are. You know what I mean? Yo, Doku, what up, nigga? You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, I should probably invite that nigga in here because he knows some shit, right? And you know what I mean? Like, yo, nice to
oh,
motherfucker see you out here, my brother.
fucking don't invite Doku on. He'll make me look as dumb as I am.
Yo, Doku, man, listen, yo, I be bypassing Doku every once in a blue moon. You know what I mean? Let's keep this 100%, right? You know, he, we, we be
I'm
getting
joking,
it.
man. Come on.
Yo, that motherfucker, like, he's smart. You know what I mean? But like, you know, oh, Zentus already has a wrench. Oh, good shit. Okay. So here, I'm gonna put this motherfucker, I'm gonna put an invite in the chat for motherfucking Doku nigga, or whoever the fuck else wants to hop on. You can come on. You know what I mean? If you're interested, you know what I mean, coming the fuck on here and, you know what I mean, asking questions that I might not be able to ask. Right.
Right.
Yeah,
So
because like I'll be honest, like I like a lot of this shit is like way past my fucking brain level. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, Desert Coyote, like, here's the thing, like, we already have a digital currency. It's called the dollar, like, and it's completely private. A bunch of banks in London run it. um and that's not me being a conspiracy person. Like, the majority of the liquidity for day-to-day operations of purchases of securities and shit is funded by loans with international partners between banks. Like, the fact is that, like, banking became international before trade did, And the reason trade got as internationalized as it did was because it was so easy to internationalize the banking system. Because it, like, once you move to a ledger-based money, right, and you have telecommunications, like, you can bank anywhere, like, with anyone for any reason. Whether or not that's a good idea.
Yeah, the whole thing is like, yo, it's
What up, Surplus Karma?
yeah, man. What's going on, man? Got words to speak? All right, stay muted, hang out. You know, I mean, that's cool. You hang out all you want to. I don't give a fuck, right? I mean, so like,
He could be getting his shit set up.
could be, could be. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's just none of this seems like a good idea.
Well, like, this is like everything else we've been talking about. Like, this was not somebody like sitting down and thinking this shit out. This was like a bunch of people did a bunch of like creative accounting practices with new technology, and that caught on, and nobody really talked about it, and that just kept happening for the last 60 years. And eventually you have an entirely esoteric and opaque banking system that is intermediating international trade in a way that, like, you can be lucky if you can get some glimpses at like the broad movements of this type of thing. And even then, like, you don't, there's seasonality in these things. Like, even today, money, like, not, well, yes, physical money, but like money flows back to the center of the US right after harvest and then slowly trickles back out. Like, these things happen, and like, this is part of the reason why you need an actual central bank authority. This is the reason why the Bank of England had a weather vane through their office, because they knew that once the headwinds changed, a bunch of ships would come up the Thames, and guess what? There was going to be a bunch of stuff to trade, and that meant there needed to be a lot of money on hand to buy it. What up, Doku?
Yo, what's up, guys? Sorry, I'm just catching you like halfway through this conversation, so I'm just trying to piece together what the topic at hand is.
The topic at hand is, for the last 3 weeks, I have listened to nothing but Jeff Snyder podcasts while at work.
Oh, well, that's a lot of content to take in a short amount of time, dude.
Yeah, I might have driven myself slightly insane, but I was cutting metal and I had nothing else to think about, so I just...
What, when you were talking about that DXY thing earlier, how is that?
Dixie, yeah. What up?
Is the petrodollar getting switched over to the Russian currency? How is that going to affect the DXY?
Okay, so there...
And what up,
the
everybody?
petrodollar...
Sorry, I was getting my shit together a minute ago.
You're good, man.
You're good. And I'm about to get a bunch of people to jump on me. The petrodollar isn't a thing. What happened? Like, most people look at like the early 1970s, like the shenanigans that had happened with like international oil supply as proof that we went from like one standard to another and all sorts of conspiracies and all sorts of bullshit, right? And I have no illusions at all that like there weren't people at the very least cutting themselves in on certain deals as far as what happened there. Like, petty politicking, all this type of thing. What happened as far as currency and monetary things is concerned is nothing really happened. Like, first of all, the international dollar standard, or the euro dollar, got started in like the 50s and really got going in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. And it's the de facto standard today, right? So it's important to note that this dollar standard started after 1933 when FDR banned, made it illegal for American citizens to own gold. So we were not operating on a gold standard. We operated on a foreign exchange standard. And what happened was that gold foreign exchange standard, basically. And what ended up happening.
Yo, let me keep this. I want your job. All right, legit. That's what I want to do I want to go build boats and like just go like fucking fishing forever. That's literally like my dream job, dude. Like you are living the motherfucking dream right now. I just want to keep
Yeah. But so what happened, let me see if I can't get back on track, because like that is actually a really fucking great job. Like just being able to be out on the sea somewhat regularly would be worth it. And especially I know a old fucking boat mechanic who apparently that can make you some money if you can get the right clients. Anyhow, so what happened in the 40s and the 50s was there were a bunch of banks who started like making international loans denominated in dollars without either party actually having dollars, right? And so, and these were interbank loans. And so what ended up happening was that there were just these networks of banks that exchanged with each other using common ledgers and kept track of, dollar denominated assets and liabilities, right? And so what emerged out of that is what we have today as the Eurodollar system after, 60 years of unregulated growth. The Fed actually produced quite a few policy papers on this type of thing in the 40s, 50s, I think through the 60s and kind of 70s. And Ben Bernanke actually turns out he did quite a bit of research on this, as well as Alan Greenspan. Although if you read it, you can definitely tell that like it's like someone who's trying to make sense of the stars when they have a geocentric worldview, right? Like they're being honest with everything they write. It's just that like they're contorting logic and data to fit what they already assume, instead of just like looking at what is clearly obvious in a lot of cases. So Triffin's paradox was what ended up having was the problem with the gold exchange standard, as far as the dollar as the international unit of exchange, because as a bank, if you have a certain number of dollars, like just by accounting practices, you're required to exchange a certain number of those dollars for an asset. You don't want to have just a crap load of currency on your books, right? That's not a good idea. That's just dead money, this type of thing. So what inevitably keeps happening is that all of these dollar denominated loans end up, actually pulling in some dollars, and, a lot of it's just intermediated via like asset swaps. Because if you have a balance sheet and you just settle up at the end of the day every time, you don't need nearly as many dollars to make those trades happen.
You talking about like repo markets and shit like that?
Yeah, well, that's definitely part of it. But even just regular daylight overdrafts, right? Where, but yes, repo markets, if you're talking about asset swaps, this type of thing.
Yeah, that's what I heard you talking about. Sorry, I didn't mean to interject.
You're good. But that's just getting a little like That's something that showed up in like the 80s and 90s. That's not something that we just hit the ground running on, right? What happened was in the 30s, 40s, and 50s, banks started lending to each other via these distributed ledgers, basically. And because they were, banks and they had telecommunications technology, they were able to talk to each other fairly frequently, so they could have very short-term loans, this type of thing. Um, and like
And
it's
this was kind of my point to where I
go for it.
understand where Pinoy's saying, like, we need the banks, and I agree. Like, part of civilization, they're crucial to business, but there's always these points where, you know,
Well,
everybody's got to make sure their profit margins are really good all the time. And not everybody's profit margins are great all the time. So I see they'll cry to the government or whoever, and then people got to jump in, and they're all making fucking millions of dollars on the side, anyways, on a ton of dirty shit like the fucking repo markets and
that
all this other stuff.
is
So it's like,
that is
I just don't have
largely
sympathy
untrue.
for them. If their margins are tight, take a fucking number, man. This is America. You're
Okay,
not the only
so
one that's hurting. That's the way I look at them.
understand that if you want the economy to improve, if you want mom and pop businesses to actually get started up again, and
Sure.
for everybody to actually be able to get a job and shit or employ themselves, whatever it may be, because like a bank that actually has cash to lend out as opposed to having to lend it against an asset, which is what they have to do now. You need JP Morgan to make more money on his bond buying business. You need that to happen in order for the economy to function.
Sure,
Because
but like a citizen's opinion about them, and if they're shicey or not, ain't gonna fucking matter. They don't need
oh,
anybody's
definitely
vote
not.
to get bailed out or steal tax money. They'll just
Well,
fucking take it.
here's the fucking problem. Yeah, that's true of like Jamie Dimon, JP Morgan, these types of people. That's not true of like your local Citibank, like actual
I see.
Citibank, not
I see.
Citibank, right? Like like contrary to popular opinion, it has not been a good decade and a half for banks. Matter of fact, like they have been like if if their market share just kept up with inflation, like CPI inflation from like I want to say like the middle 2000s, like before 2006 and 2007, but before they got real big inflated, like they would be like double, triple the market cap size that they are right now. And they're just not. Banks have not made a whole lot of money these last few
I'll
decades.
buy that. I mean, we didn't raise interest rates after 2008, which I thought was a complete shit show.
Well, the problem
Obama
is
didn't help the banks at all. I'll buy that.
no. Like here's the fucking problem here. Like the Fed doesn't really control interest rates. They can kind of control short-term interest rates because what they do is they offer like market alternatives where like the Fed will let you loan them money and then they'll pay you interest on that money that you loan them. And all that is to do is to try to put a floor on interest rates so interest rates won't go below that. You know what that program did? It put a ceiling on interest rates. Again, not something I completely understand how that works, but you look at the data and that's how it works. Um, anyhow, so like the problem is that everybody acts like the Fed is the center of the monetary universe, that all these central banks are central. They're not. They're not where the majority of the dollars come from, or any type of currency except for China. China's central bank is the number one source of Chinese currency. That's because they actually do money things. They issue money. They loan people credit. They give like guidelines to by which
So
to
what's
give
the
credit
major
also.
funding? What's the major contributor for dollars if it's not the Fed? Is it just private businesses and private banks and things like that?
Yeah. Private banks internationally lending each other
Sure.
money.
And this goes back to my question earlier that you were alluding to. I more than sure of was how is this gonna once all this shit plays out in Europe, right? I'm sure like a huge chunk of dollars come into our economy through the European Forex and all these other fucking scams they got going on.
Yeah,
So
the
how is
issue
that
here.
this mess in Europe right now gonna affect how the dollar compares against other currencies? I guess my
It is
basic
right.
question is Russian dollar and the Chinese dollar going to kick the dollar's ass
Oh God,
in the
no.
foreseeable
God, no.
future?
What's going to happen is that the dollar is going to go up. If you look at what it's been doing, it's been going up ever since this Ukraine shit has been kicking off, and it's because like I don't like this, but like, and understand, I'm not in any kind of way advocating for anything that I am describing. I'm just trying to look at the mess that we have and trying to pick out where the fuck we are so we can get some kind of idea of what we need to actually fix. Right? So the problem is that most of these central banks are actually pseudo Keynesian. Well, it's not a problem, but it it is a problem in that what happens is that they buy reserves, right, and then they sell, and what that ends up being is like a psychological anchor to the value of the
Okay.
currency.
Yo, look,
Like
let me let
it's
me
not.
let
Go
me
for
let
it.
me say this too. All right. So like saying that like the Russian ruble is going to do anything as a whole as far as like the international markets and being able to trade commodities is kind of, to be honest here, retarded, right? Because basically what are, and me and TK were talking about this early, like what a dollar is it's a unit of account, and what's the other thing, TK?
It's a unit of account and it's a medium of exchange
There we go. All right.
because
It's a
right.
medium of exchange. So now the reason why the US dollar is this is because of the fact that, you know what I'm saying, we have like weak motherfucking southern neighbors, a really peaceful northern neighbor, and our eastern and western neighbors are fish. Right. And there's very few places on the planet where you're going to find that type of stability, along with the country that's married to probably a military that will never be surpassed. Right. Like the short list of countries are Australia, Canada, New Zealand, maybe France, and that's it. That's a list of countries that you have to choose from them having a currency that can be traded internationally, right? And in doing so, you know what I mean? Like, what you're looking at is everybody's going to be running to the dollar forever because that's the basic premise of how our entire system is. You know what I'm saying? It's, you know what I mean? Like, when you want to stand here and trade currency in anything, you want to do it in US dollars because the US dollar is, you know what I mean, fucking super goddamn stable as far as shit's concerned. Now, it is no longer a store of value, right?
Fact.
You know, I mean, that's important to understand. It is not a store of value, but it is a unit of exchange. And it's a stable unit of exchange of size that doesn't affect its home resident, which is important, right? Which is highly important because, like, the moment China opened up and tried to let their motherfucking currency, you know what I mean, be like a world trading currency, immediately, right? Motherfuckers, like, they lost $3 trillion in motherfucking revenue directly out of their economy, and it flew away and motherfucking ran to the first place it could motherfucking hide, and they lock it right back down.
Fair enough, but isn't this little geopolitical play they're making to trade oil on their currency something that's gonna give that an anchor. Like it'll give when they try to trade their currency, it's going to give it a little more value essentially because it's not so much just their currency, it's oil, it's fuel. And when there's
but
the commercial, how much oil does China buy in a fucking day? I'm sure it's astronomical. When that shit starts sinking in for a whole summer, like you're going to start seeing markets get affected. I believe, Pinoid, I agree with you. America's awesome, but I'm just trying to think what these people are fucking thinking over there because they're making some massive plays on these markets, trying to dethrone the U.S. out of their.
They won't be able to.
Yeah. So,
Sure.
Pinoid, do you want to go in on this one, or like you've got the Peter Zeon joint on lock on this one if you really want to?
Well, it's really simply put. Russia doesn't have the demography to be able to continue to be a country for too much longer. It's kind of where it's at. You know what I'm saying? Like, so therefore, even if they were able to open up a motherfucking market and stop having dollars being used, nobody's like going to fucking do that long term. Right. I mean, because like ultimately they don't have a workforce. They don't have an industry. They don't have an economic base. All they have is motherfucking raw commodity. And raw commodity does not. That's why, like, does anyone here know what Saudi Arabia's currency is called? Me either. All right, I don't fucking know. Like legitimately, if a commodity, if a commodity was the reason why you would have a currency, nigga, everybody would have some type of Saudi Arabian currency.
Do you think Russia's going to balkanize?
Huh?
Saudi Real.
Go ahead.
Yeah, the Real, right? But anyway, what'd you say, Karma?
Do you think Russia will balkanize, or that this push from Putin is going to like speed up that balkanization?
I don't give a shit.
It won't.
Like, all right, so like really simply put, like, okay, do you understand how North Korea's basic strategy of dealing with the rest of the world goes?
I don't know. I mean, they're fucking retards.
Do you know how it works? Because this is the same.
Not entirely. I'm sure you do better than I do. It would take me a minute to articulate it, and it would probably.
It's really basic. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh hey, I mean, we have things. Oh hey, our people are starving and we don't have things. Oh hey, let's launch a nuclear missile over Japan. Oh hey,
seems like a lot of posturing to me. Like just
we need help, right? Yeah. They go, we need help. We're going to throw fucking missiles over top of things, right? And that's basically what Russia's doing right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, so they're basically standing here going, all right, well, we want better treatment from everybody. We want, the ability to motherfucking like defend ourselves, or, have like our little fucking area of the world that's ours, right? And be a regional fucking player rather than having to constantly motherfucking like bow and curtsy to the motherfucking Europeans and motherfucking like be on our knees when we have to deal with goddamn America. And that's kind of
point now.
Huh?
I see your point now.
Yeah.
They just don't. Yeah, I don't know. Russia doesn't seem as big of a threat after hearing some of that stuff. And I was never super scared of them. It's just good to hear other people talk about it. You know what I mean?
Well, specifically, what Russia wants in regards to this entire endeavor that they've decided to engage themselves in is, number one, they need a freshwater source to Crimea, because Crimea, despite being surrounded by water, doesn't have a freshwater source. So they want that. The second thing they want is a secured access to a land bridge for their pipeline, despite having given them the go-ahead for it. They themselves want to own it, and they don't want to have to be beholden to any Western power or nation. They want to own it themselves so that they can secure their oil and gas trade. That's really what they're doing. If I have a feeling, just knowing a little bit from what I've heard about Putin, if he can go ahead and overthrow and create a puppet regime, he'll probably go for it. But all of that aside, this really is, it's no coincidence that they greenlit the pipeline going from Russia into Eastern Europe, and then they immediately decide to pull this stunt in Ukraine, because it really is about the oil and gas trade and also securing Crimea. Those are their two biggest concerns. Other than that, they really couldn't give two shits about Ukraine.
Yeah, and so as you noticed, they're not really trying to conquer Ukraine. They're trying to turn it into rubble. Right? Like, They're bombing it back to the Stone Age, which they said they would do, right? If NATO and the motherfucking EU kept fucking around, right? So they're bombing it back to the goddamn Stone Age, and they're letting them know, like, hey, look, we don't fucking really care how many troops we lose doing this. You're gonna motherfucking respect our motherfucking position. Like, it's this simple. We're tired of you motherfucking standing here fucking around and trying to motherfucking like dictate how terms are gonna go because you think you're motherfucking above everybody. And you know, the US isn't going to stand here and start a motherfucking like, all right, the US is literally, this is like motherfucking the US is the Rock and Russia's kind of like Pee Wee Herman. All right. But the problem is Pee Wee Herman literally is holding a dead man switch and he's covered in fucking C4. Right. Like, so therefore, the moment motherfucking like, yo, the Rock just starts beating the brakes off of him and fucking Pee Wee Herman lets go with the motherfucking switch, everybody's going to die. And so that's why the US really can't afford to get mixed up with goddamn Russia and shit. You know what I mean? So it's a great gamble by the Russians as a whole. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I just don't
Yeah,
think
he's got a huge set of balls.
Yeah,
Putin.
I just don't think they expected Javelin missiles to be as effective as they are.
Yo, they're literally like, yo, I'm fucking, and who was? I think it was TK. It might have been TK. He said, motherfucking, this is like Afghanistan. I said, no, this is like Afghanistan part 1. You know, I mean, this is not like the US and Afghanistan. This is literally like what happened to Russia in Afghanistan. The same exact fucking playbook. We're arming the Ukrainians with Javelin missiles to just take down all these goddamn motherfucking, you know what I mean, tanks and helicopters and shit so they can't fucking conduct their war the way they want to. It's fucking, it's a tragic ass thing as far as shit's concerned. I personally think we should have a neutral policy towards the rest of the fucking world, but apparently I'm in the goddamn minority on the planet because like I said that in one comment section and I got bombarded by like motherfuckers all over the goddamn place and shit. Just telling me, oh, fucking thank God America doesn't think like you, or else Adolf Hitler would have motherfucking taken over the whole fucking world. And I'm like, yeah, that would have happened, you fucking retard.
I think America should be a neutral arms and mercenary dealer.
Wasn't Teddy Roosevelt down in Cuba kicking some fucking ass? And he was like the speak softly isolationist guy. Like, doesn't mean be a fucking pussy.
Well,
you know?
I mean, you gotta understand that, like, on a fundamental level, the U.S. should have taken over like a large portion of South America. Like, we really should have. Like, it's all in the same economic trade area, and the fact that we didn't take it over 100 years ago is a detriment to the entire hemisphere.
I mean, let's keep it 100. Mexico should be speaking English right now, if we're perfectly honest about what should have happened. All right.
No, I'm not saying just Mexico. I'm saying like Mexico, Venezuela, like that entire fucking coastline and all of the islands.
To go back to your point, Pinoid, when you made about Russia, they're basically like the rusted bear just kind of beating its chest. Now, do you think the paper dragon, like China, is going to do the same thing with Taiwan? Like, are we going to see a similar situation with China and Taiwan that we're seeing with Ukraine and Russia right now?
Do you know how bad it would be if China tried to take Taiwan?
Dude, that's where all the semiconductors come from right now. Like, NVIDIA's biggest foundry is down there. Like, it's going to fuck the markets up if they take Taiwan.
I don't think anybody really cares about the markets, right? You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, I do. I'd like to retire sometime.
We're not going. You fucking get that idea out of your goddamn head, right?
Yeah, no, I understood. I mean, I'll probably be doing part-time at Walmart when I'm shitting my pants in 30 years, I'm sure.
Well, if you want to talk about Taiwan and China, that's a completely different theater of war. When it comes to what's going on with Russia and Ukraine, there are ethnic similarities, but also that is a land war. And there are distinct goals and there are distinct political reasons that are going on for why what's happening between Russia and Ukraine is happening and why it's happening right now. If China were to try to take Taiwan, not only would you have different global players involved, but you're talking about a you're talking about an invasion that's going to have to happen mostly via land and sea, and China cannot really afford to wage that type of war. And if they did, not only would you have the United States involved, because we still have the South China Sea on lock, whether China likes it or not, but you're also going to be getting Japan, Australia, and South Korea involved in the immediate term, and that also would bring in NATO. And that would be a much, much different type of conflict.
Hey, Tom, you want to go ahead and show that graphic I just linked in chat real quick? Tom?
Shit, I'm sorry, I had to swap out my motherfucking salad for my mouse. Nigga, I'm trying to eat right now. You know what I'm saying? Hang on a second.
While you're doing that, I wanted to touch on one thing you guys brought up in regards to the currency exchange, like the dollar versus the ruble and the yuan. Yeah, China can go to Saudi Arabia or India or even Venezuela. Same with Russia, and they can try to exchange oil using the ruble and the yuan instead of the U.S. dollar. But if they do, here's the thing: all the goods that they're going to be producing when they get exchanged on the global market, which both countries are reliant upon doing, it's still going to take place in U.S. dollars. Even if Russia tries to do what they want to do and say, "Oh, you can only buy oil in the ruble," okay, all the products that are going to be produced using that oil are still going to be exchanged on the global market using the dollar.
The entirety of what makes their market what it is would be in dollars, so they have to exchange anyways. I see your point.
I mean, really, the only reason they're trying to do that is because they're trying to prevent their own currency from collapsing because it has more immediate terms in regards to what their internal economy is going to look like. But in the grand scheme of things, it's like there's no real getting away from the U.S. dollar.
It would just be flooding the market trying to sell their dollars to buy oil with their money, right? I mean, it would kind of defeat the purpose. I get your point. That makes sense.
It is kind of funny that the ruble has become the most gold-backed currency in the entire world, which is like 1 gram to like 6,000 or 60,000 rubles, something like that, which in the grand scheme of things isn't shit. But it was kind of a smart short-term move just to prevent the complete free fall of the ruble. And it's basically now going back to where it was prior to the invasion of Ukraine. But that's really all it's about, is just trying to stabilize their currency as opposed to challenging the US dollar as the global's reserve currency. And this touches on something TKMAO was stating in regards to the Bretton Woods Agreement post-World War II, when central bank exchanges were still backed by gold and they were still using the dollar. And then a few banks, I believe it was France was actually the first one, if I remember correctly, started to question if there was enough gold to actually support the dollar. And we just went to a complete credit-based system, which some could argue that was a bad thing. You could argue it was a good thing. Either way, it doesn't change the fact that the dollar at that point in time had become backed by the credit of the United States government to repay its debts, which is backed up by treasury bonds, which is what the Federal Reserve buys in order to propagate the dollar and keep the economy moving, which is the only real reason that they set their lending rate.
Whoa, buddy! You got a couple pieces there wrong. The Federal Reserve exchanges treasuries for Federal Reserve notes, right? They don't like they. How can I put this? Treasuries are auctioned, right? Like they can only buy treasuries on the secondary market, right?
No, they do, and they hold them. But I mean, if we're really going to boil it down to brass tacks, your dollar is basically
my point there is right. My point was simply there that it's the banks that are making the actual dollars that we're using, not the Federal Reserve.
And I wasn't disagreeing on that point. My point was what keeps the value of the dollar going is the fact that there's always going to be a purchaser. It's why the Fed is considered the lender of last resort. And it's kind of inaccurate to call them a lender because really what they are is they're a holder of treasury debt just as a form of stabilization. But it keeps the dollar and the U.S. credit system going in such a way that the dollar is never going to collapse, not in the same way that another currency like the ruble would collapse if the United States tried to do the same thing. If it were the same way, as soon as we decided to invade Iraq or Iran or whoever else we decided to go to war with, you would see a similar type of currency collapse. And we've positioned ourselves economically in such a way, specifically from the currency exchange standpoint, using the Federal Reserve and the fact that we're essentially a credit-based currency at this point in time, that we can avoid something like that. Russia and China can't have that, don't have that same type of luxury, and I don't think they ever will, which is why I don't think you need to be terribly worried about the yuan or the ruble overtaking the US dollar, just because it's
So
just
it's
not
less
gonna
of
happen.
like a play for them for geopolitical power. Well, mostly in Russia's focus, and more like they're just kind of a quartered animal trying to survive, is what it sounds like.
Oh,
Right, so
definitely. Like Russia's a
let me
beaten dog.
let me motherfucking let me do something right, because I got some shit that I think that fucking y'all are gonna want to motherfucking understand, like how bad this is, right? Fucking hang on a minute.
So Doku, you sound pretty bright about this shit. So like everything you just framed up about Russia, how does that compare to China's position right now? And what's their geopolitical aspirations from your standpoint?
Well, China's goal is just to make sure that they have access to the natural resource that they have in order to continue producing and selling people the goods that they do. I mean, at the end of the day, that's where China's bread and butter is. They will try to artificially manipulate their currency to make sure that the yuan is cheap, because the cheaper the yuan is, that's the more stuff they can buy with it on the global market. Compared to, at the same time, they're holding massive amounts of U.S. Treasury debt, and they're also holding massive amounts of gold and silver, specifically because they're very natural resource focused, because that's the only thing keeping their economy really going. The reason they're holding U.S. Treasury debt is because they recognize, like most other countries in the world, that the dollar is the most stable go-to safe haven when everything else goes to absolute crap. Because, to be perfectly blunt, as someone who holds gold and silver, we're not going back to buying goods and services using gold and silver coins anytime soon. It's just not practical. Not in this type of environment.
Yo, Karma,
Yo,
you looking at the screen, man?
yeah, it's kind of fuzzy. What do you got?
That is Russia's demographic pyramid. You see any bit of an issue there?
Yeah, you don't.
That's not a demographic pyramid. That is Charlie Brown's Christmas tree. All right.
It is, yeah. It's
All
really fuzzy. Can you explain the data set and what it means?
All right. So very simply put, all right. Demographic pyramids are like motherfucking young people at the bottom, old people at the top, right? And like fucking mortality builds it into a pyramid, right? Where like, old people get old and die. So there's less and less of them, right? Young people, there's going to be lots and lots of. All right. So that big giant chunk missing out of the motherfucking middle of it. All right. Like you see that big chunk where it goes inward?
The tree trunk. Yeah.
Yeah, that's their fucking people from the age of motherfucking 35 to like fucking 18.
Yep.
Oh wow, they're fucked. Very
right.
Like follies, they need to start fucking like yesterday, bro.
Yeah, like do you know how long it takes to grow a 30-year-old?
Oh, demographic collapse is fucking exponential. It's so hard to get out of.
Yeah,
bare minimum 31 years.
31 fucking years. That's a lot of fucking right there.
I mean, it's 9 months before the baby's born. Then it's going to take another 30 years before you're actually really, really producing as far as economic standpoints go, because it's not like it was, 100 years ago where you're in your economic prime when you're in your early 20s. It's not the same.
So
and then you also have the compounding factor here where, like, not necessarily as bad as Russia's, because like Russia has done a lot of things to make its demographic problems worse.
What's their solution, do you think? Are they going to do the Western thing and just bring a bunch of migrants in, or like doesn't Russia fucking hate Muslims? Like, who are they going to migrate in there to have all these kids?
They actually
here's the problem.
Here's for the Muslims.
Chechens, they have accepted the Chechens. Like it's really freaking weird if you
Chechens
actually
having kids, or are all their women westernized too?
No.
Not
so here's the crazy thing right here. Wait, here's the crazy thing that like nobody understands, right? And this is important to understand, right? Legitimately, immigrants who go into a new country, they adopt the motherfucking demographic profile of the host country.
Yeah,
Right. So like as soon as
because
you bring a
people
foreign
don't-
woman to a Western country, she becomes a fucking bitch, right? Same shit.
Well, kind of. Like let's
Yes.
not let's not be 100% crass about this. Although crass
Sorry,
is,
I'm terrible.
you're good. You're good. But like there is
I'm
a
fine with
serious
it. I don't give a
aspect to
fuck.
this.
This is welcome to the Church of Jesus Christ. It's not
It's
a bitch
Pinoid,
made nigga.
baby.
You know what I'm saying?
How's the fishing
Yeah,
bed, my
no.
friend?
Like I was more meaning crass as in like how accurately you can make the point, right? I don't give a shit what you like. I've been cursing the whole time. What I mean is like you have to put a fine point on exactly what's happening. And what's happening is if you transplant a population, then it's going to react to the same population pressures as the host population. Because it's not like people decide whether or not they want kids in a vacuum. Like, from what I understand, there's a lot of like peer pressure, social conditions, and this type of thing that go into it. So if you just dump someone into it, then yeah, they're gonna not really just retain they're not gonna magically retain the pressures that were applied to them at their host country. That's not gonna happen.
Well,
Okay.
that's actually
All
another
right. So
really
like
good point.
here's another one. Here's another one. This is China's demographic pyramid.
Yeah,
Did you see this?
they are.
Yeah, that's why they got rid of that
Yeah.
that one child
Okay.
laws because they
They're
Okay.
desperate
So
right
look
now
here.
too, right? Like
Look
you
here.
said.
Look here. All right. So like the year 2000. All right. You see all those yellow lines
Yeah.
that are there. Those
Yeah.
yellow parts don't exist.
That was them.
Oh wow, really? So
overcounting.
what is that? Projections or something? Or are they just trying to
No, that's that they overcounted their population in their last census.
huge fucking surprise. The CCP's fucking fudging their numbers. Huge surprise.
Yo,
well, that's the
Yo,
thing. You don't want to see
by
graphs like this.
2050, half of the China's population will be gone.
Yeah, dude, I'm starting to not be worried at all.
It's already cheaper to make stuff in Mexico than it is in China.
Yeah, oh dude, I've been let's move the entirety of the Western manufacturing needs from China to our neighbor to the south. You don't need to build a wall when the economy is fucking booming in Mexico. You know what I mean?
Yeah. We'd have to build a wall on Mexico's southern border then.
Yeah, oh yeah, because the Hondurans and shit would be like fucking World War Z, dude.
Well, why do you
And
think
the cartel would just be the CEOs, so that would just solve all those problems would solve themselves. You know?
Cartel violence levels actually correlate well with investment levels in Mexico.
Dude, when you're making, you can make $1 billion off selling coke, but when you sell fucking consumer bullshit to the West, you make fucking trillions, bro. The cartel will jump right on board with all that shit.
Well, and again, here's the thing: when you look at a lot of these countries that essentially the emerging markets from the 80s and the 90s and the early 2000s, the reason they're pushing for this this large degree of modernization and automation is because you don't have the amount of human labor going into the market that you had back in the 80s and the 90s. Your birth rates were simply stunted for that long that guess what? You can't make up for it that quickly. And your primary economic driving factor is manufacturing. And it was reliant for a very long time on just manual labor. And the United States isn't quite worried about it because we are a modernized country by all intensive standards. I mean, if you look at what U.S. manufacturing is here just on our soil right now and compare it to what manufacturing looks like in, say, India, China, or Russia, they're decades behind where we're at. We can build entire cars with, 2 or 3 people on the production line. China can't do the same thing.
Sure, and we would bring that level of technological manufacturing advancement to all these new factories in Mexico. I mean, this is a no-brainer. I mean, you could have essentially the North American Union and the EU could kiss our fucking ass. I mean, you thought it was hard to catch up to America now. Wait till some shit like that happens, dude.
Yeah, the issue there is that, like, as weird as this sounds, there's not that many Mexicans, right?
Oh, they're
that-
all here. You know what I mean? It's
no,
like
no. Like last 10 years, we have had net outflow immigration to Mexico. And like a lot of it is because I'm not going to lie, like Mexican baby boomers came to America, worked however long, and now they bought their little patch of land back in Mexico and are moving back. Which, by the way, as long as they did it legally, you know, I'm not going to
is
say
that
power to them,
Mexico's
but
demographics,
respect. But
Pinoid?
That is Germany's motherfucking demographic pyramid right there.
yeah,
See, notice these charts are all the same. Like when you're looking at the 20 to 40 demographic, and then you start getting above 40, you don't want to see an aging demographic like that big little love handle thing right up there towards the top.
Oh, it's a perfect name for it.
Yeah, once that moves up, you don't have the population that's producing economically to support that aging population.
And it's funny you called it a tree earlier, Pinoid, because once that thing gets so top heavy, it's just gonna fucking fall over. Yeah.
I mean, like, like these are all bad, like legit, man. Like, in motherfuckers,
That's
think,
Merkel
like,
right
just
there.
the West, man. You know what I mean?
That's Merkel's silhouette right there with her fupa.
Oh, yeah, it's
With
funny.
the
A lot of
motherfucking
the
fupa.
a lot of the South American countries, like Guatemala. I think what are the two big ones? One is Guatemala, and I think the other is Panama. I want to say, but they're actually concerned with the amount of people that are leaving their country to come to the United States or Mexico or anywhere else because they can't support their populations either. Because it's a bunch of young people, and specifically, it's young men, young women, and children leaving their countries to come to the United States, and they can't support their economies, so they're actually trying to stop it. That's something the media won't talk about.
Who's not in demographic collapse right now? Like, is there any country that doesn't have the Christmas tree chart going on?
the U.S. Like
Really?
we're
That's surprising.
we're a chimney. It's not.
Yo, that's
it's
yo.
not
This is South Korea.
Yeah.
They're not as bad, but give them
They're
10 years.
they're pretty fucking bad.
Give them 10
Yeah,
years. Give them 10 years, they'll look just as bad as the others.
Yeah, the only one that's really worse than that would probably be Japan, I would guess.
I mean, at least the 20 to 30 demographic for South Korea still looks. I mean, it'll keep them afloat for a decade. But if they don't get the birth rate up, they're gonna be just as fucked.
So who's bottom heavy right now? Is anyone? Is it Muslim countries?
Africa.
I mean,
African nations. Actually, what does India look like?
India's not bad either, but India doesn't have any infrastructure.
Right.
Yeah.
Because like India's really fucking big. Like it looks like it's the size of Texas on the map, but no, it's like a third of the continental US, I'd say. Something like that. Like it's a big fucking
They have a lot
country.
again. They have a lot of people, but like they're not interested in, you know what I'm saying, like building out the infrastructure to become like a modernized economy.
They're not even interested in putting
it's like
in
a giant
toilets.
landfill. Every time I
Here's
think of India,
here's the
I
U.S.
think all the trash.
Here's the U.S.
Wow, that is
Right.
surprising. I don't believe that for a fucking second.
Yeah, we're
actually-
doing not like we're not over the hill quite yet, but we might be pretty quick here.
Well, you have to remember
I
something.
did not think we were
check this
doing
out,
that
check this
well.
out. Here's what you have to remember about America. 30% of our fucking population is foreign born.
Yep.
Actually, I don't really find this pyramid that surprising, to be honest.
And like
But-
after what Doku was saying, so is this just young people are coming here? Like this isn't American citizens having children. This is immigrants coming in and filling those gaps. Is that
Yep,
what I'm
it's immigrants coming
understanding?
in. Yep. Immigrants coming in.
I would argue at least half of it is because I believe there's a chart. I forget who published it, but it was showing the birth rate amongst first generation immigrants, second generation, and they took it all the way up to like fifth generation. And once you get past third generation naturalized citizens of the United States, and you look at their birth rate compared to first generation immigrants to the United States, it's not even a comparison. The newer immigrants are having children at a much more rapid rate, and they're also naturalizing at a much faster rate than we would normally expect from 100 years ago. And people attribute this to multiple different things. Some say it's due to the internet, social media, where cultures are all intermingling and it makes naturalization quicker. Others argue that it's just, we're more accepting and tolerant. I would argue the former rather than the latter. But the fact of the
I
matter
would
is,
argue that it's because you can get federal student loans as an illegal immigrant.
well, and the fact of the matter is, though,
All right,
it's only
fucking
taking
karma.
about one
Karma.
generation.
Yo,
Yo, look at this one here.
who's that? I can't read it. I can see the
Iran.
chart, but
That is
That's
Iran.
Iran.
that's a Muslim country? Are you fucking kidding me? I thought they were fucking like jackrabbits, dude. Every Muslim I see in the States, like in the city by me, has like 10 fucking kids behind them. Like,
That's because they're the rich ones that can come out here.
Yeah, they're the ones that don't live in Iran anymore.
understood. Okay. Understood.
And understand that like polygamy does mean that like if one dude has 4 wives, that means 3 dudes have 0 wives, which means shit gets funky.
Yeah.
Let's just say there's a lot of
Inbreeding.
Violence.
Yeah, I was gonna say some negative energy that they seek an outlet for.
That's a nicer way of putting it.
I mean, hey, if you're trying to figure out, oh no, all right, I'm about to make a really bad joke.
Do it.
Do it.
Do it.
Iran has figured out the ultimate way to deal with the incel energy problem.
So peanut or
Explosively.
you guys were talking about Africa is the only one that's cranking out, that's laying the pipe correctly. Fucking now, are we talking like some African places or like Egypt or?
Yo, look at this one here. Look at this one here. You know what this is?
I can read that one. Saudi Arabia.
Yo, think Muslim countries are still like the answer?
No, I don't. I'm learning. Now, when you were talking about Africa, like would Egypt, like are the like the high population countries in Africa in the same boat, or are they cranking out kids too?
Yo, they're going down, right? Like, hang on, I'll give you a fucking chart. Birth rate Africa.
So once the UN and all these fucking Greenpeace and bullshit, Red Cross, once they get into Africa, they're gonna fucking collapse too, right? I mean, you can't stop that, right? Like they're gonna want all the free shit, right? And then they're just gonna get westernized basically, and their demographics are gonna be in the same boat very shortly as they accept or beg for help from the West or whatever you want to call it. That comes with it, right? Yeah. It's like you take that with that help, right?
Actually, the one population pyramid I would want to see in terms of an African country would be Benin.
I never even heard of that before.
Benin,
I don't know what Benin is.
Benin, they're northwestern Africa. They were a French colony for quite some time. I've known a few people from that region of Africa, and they're fairly westernized. This is probably the reason you haven't heard of it.
So, I mean, this is gonna like keep basically whoever can. For what I'm gathering from this is that whoever can keep the kids up for the foreseeable future is going to be in control of the economies and shit like that. But once things are going to be so automated and things eventually. I mean, they want everyone's demographics to collapse eventually, right? I mean, that's
no. Wait. Well, like, can we be clear on who's who? Like they. in this case? Like, who wants a demographic collapse? Because almost every single institution that is in power wants more people under its power, right? So, like, there are very few institutions that actually profit from there being less people. They just profit from, like, people doing other things that end up making them
For
produce less
now,
people. No,
I mean,
no, like,
for now, people are
no,
fucking
like,
pussies now. Like, having a bunch of people in 30 years is going to be a fucking liability. It's not going to be an asset. Right now, you're trying to get all these people to crank out factories
no,
and replace China,
GDP,
but in 30
no,
years,
like,
it's going to
GDP
be a
number
bunch of.
go up with
Go
more
ahead.
people. Like, doesn't matter if they're Somali or white trash or like some Jewish genius or a German technician, all of them make GDP number go up.
You know, only if they're a net positive on the gross domestic product. If they're a net negative, then
No. Government spending is counted in GDP, so it still makes GDP number go up because welfare payments are part of GDP.
That sounds like some bankers.
Yeah, but you still need to get the money and the funding for that somewhere. And if you're not producing, again, as long as there's a balance and people are actually working, then you can at least keep it even. If you're really good at doing what you do, then you can bump it a little bit. But
you're speaking from the mindset of a statesman and not like some technocrat who is trying to make sure that they hit their target this week.
All right. So, like, here's the numbers for fucking for sub-Saharan Africa's motherfucking fertility rates. You notice something?
Let's see, what do we have? Sub-Saharan Africa, South Africa, Botswana, Kenya, and Ghana. They're all down.
Yep, they're all going down. Right. You know what I'm saying? And like, so here's what it is. Okay. Very simply put, on Adam Hart's, I'm going to explain this to you very, very simply. All right. This is a very basic thing, man. So you understand exactly what's popping off. Single women spend 40% more on consumer goods than entire families. All right. And they buy shit that doesn't cost anything to make. Right. The vast majority of individuals who have, like, say, like Apple fucking, what is it? The Apple Play thing or whatever the fuck it is. They're all females. The individuals with Netflix Netflix motherfucking, whatchamacallit, females. Individuals with Amazon Prime memberships, females. Right. Like, yo, look, what they're doing is they're not standing here trying to get rid of populations. They just want single females because they don't discriminate about what they buy, and they buy garbage. Cheaply made bullshit garbage, because that's what drives your fucking economy. And not only that, guess what? You have to sell 2 times as many houses. So that means the house prices go up. So it means the amount of money they're loaning for houses goes up. The amount of money they're giving out for credit goes up. All of these things are great when females are single. It's not about them trying to get rid of population. It's about them trying to motherfucking have free fucking females that fucking stand here and be consumers. It's that simple.
You know, something about this chart has me very curious in regards to sub-Saharan Africa. That's the only one that says excluding high income. I want to know what it looks like amongst the high income families.
It's even worse.
I can only imagine. I mean, what,
like,
it ended at like what, 3 to 5 kids? I can imagine they're at 1.5.
Yeah, and here's the other things too, right? Like, this is motherfucking important to understand as well, right? Is that urbanization. All right. And karma, this is something you're going to like, I'm going to hit you with, right? The countries with the highest urbanization rates are the countries with the lowest birth rates. Because when you have kids on a farm, kids are farm equipment. All right. You know what I mean? They help you fucking do shit and produce. Right. But when kids are in a city, when you have children inside of a city in a 2-bedroom apartment, they're giant St. Bernards who are extremely expensive and loud.
And this is kind of my point a minute ago, was that, you know, everybody's scrambling now to shore up those demographic trees because they want to have that manufacturing powerhouse. But in 30 years, you're not going to need that amount of people.
They don't care about manufacturing. They care about consumption.
Understood. Okay.
They don't give a fuck about manufacturing. This is not about workers. What is the percentage of human beings who work in manufacturing right now? Do you know?
I have no idea.
8%.
But this is, and Doku touched on it. Like, you've got people that are actually gonna, like, if you produce some shit, right? Like you at the end of the year, you've paid in so much. Like you're just gonna have a bunch of people that just consume shit. How is that valuable? That's a liability at that point.
It's
That's
not
the
a
way I see it.
liability. It's
No,
not a
it's-
liability.
As
right?
long as
So-
they're buying my shit, they're not a liability, they're profit.
Yo, man, listen. All right, Doku. You know
Okay,
Adam,
so I think I
Adam
see-
Smith,
all
right? Doku, you
Yeah.
know Adam Smith, right?
Yeah.
All right. What does he say about demand?
Oh, I know the quote you're talking about. Shit.
Demand is infinite. Very simple. Demand is infinite because we have had for the past 400 years an ever expanding population. All right. And I mean, and so therefore, like, yo, they want to continue to have demand to be infinite. It's that simple. Right. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Because, like,
And if you automate manufacturing, you can have an endless fucking stream of consumption at that point. So I
Yes.
totally understand where you're at.
Well,
Yeah.
so here's a really easy analogy. I only need to teach one person how to drive a machine that can get the tomatoes off the vine, as opposed to hiring 100 people to go pick it by hand. The only way I'm going to lose out in that prospect is if there's not enough people to buy my tomatoes.
yeah.
So, like, as long as there's people to buy my stuff, great. If there's more
Yep.
people to buy my stuff, all I have to do is produce more. And with automation, okay, I don't have to worry about picking it by hand. I can get a machine to do it for me. I can teach somebody to drive the machine.
Dude,
or
you're
repair
making
it.
me think of Idiocracy so fucking much right now. How they got like machines that like, oh yeah, we used to be able to do that, but then the machine broke and nobody knows how to fix it any fucking more.
Well,
Well, we're
there-
already there. Like,
that's
legit, why do you think we can't get back to the moon?
you know what,
Sure,
it's
dude,
it's
man.
funny. It's funny
We're
that
in
you
a
bring
bad
that up,
spot
Kenoid.
right now.
First off, that was a really funny conversation a couple months ago. We were talking about that flat Earth shit, but I don't want to go down that rabbit hole.
Well, there's no
But-
flat earthers here, so we're safe. All right. You're safe. Yo, look, man, seriously. All right. You're in a safe space right now. You can say,
Oh, good. I won't be triggered.
fuck that. The Church of Jesus Christ, not a bitch made nigga.
But no, it's actually insane, because you're right. We are reaching that point because, and this is as a small gripe that I have about the education system, but they're pushing these freaking worthless degrees because, well, to be honest, if I can sell you a bullshit degree for $60,000, then I'm going to do it, as long as it's, nice and happy and touchy feely and everything. But in the area I live in, Peanut, I know you could probably attest to this because you've probably driven through it. The Northern Virginia area, we're basically the Silicon Valley of the East Coast. It's like 97 or 98% of all internet traffic in the entire world goes through the county I live in.
Yeah, all them those defense contractors are all down there, aren't they? Isn't Northern Virginia just full of fucking
Dude,
defense contractors and companies?
If you drive,
and shit?
oh yeah, if you drive around the Beltway, you'll see Raytheon, you'll see Boeing, you'll see. I mean, throw a dart at the dartboard. They all have a presence here.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you'll notice, especially when you drive down 495, 66, 28, Route 7, pick a highway in the greater DC area, they're almost all lined with data centers. Every single one of them. And you know what they can't find?
Motherfucking, what is it?
Oh, yeah.
270, motherfucking
270,
495, fucking, yeah, all that shit going down around there and whatnot.
Yeah, dude, every single one of them. I mean, it's getting to the point where it's not even the major highways, but if you just take like 2 or 3 roads that I take when I'm going to work is Waxpool, and I forget the name of the other one. Waxpool and Loudoun County Parkway. Drive down those and you'll see massive data centers just chilling. And these are like 2-lane highways that are surrounded by like suburbs. Because that's
dude,
how
the
many...
cloud is the future. Like I work in that industry, like the Internet of Things, like that shit's really scary, and like it ties into everything we've been talking about. I mean,
Well, but here's the thing, dude.
you won't
When
be able to take a piss without fucking it being logged in a Google server, dude.
Yeah,
Well,
and
but
like,
here's the thing, man. Sorry, real
like,
quick. Sorry, Peter,
here's
real
the-
quick. Let me just
go ahead,
finish.
man, go ahead.
Yeah, the thing is, when you look at all these data centers, they can find people with IT degrees. They can find people with computer science degrees. They can't find a single person with a data center management certificate, a 2-year degree. Like, not even complicated, a 2-year degree. You know how much these people are paying you for having a 2-year or certificate just to know how to manage a data center? They're paying you like $80,000 a year. No experience.
I mean, let's keep this also, 100 about this too. Like, so when we start talking about, like why it is that like they're pushing, college and all this other shit. Remember, fucking education is ran by like 96% fucking females with college degrees, right? So they're literally going to tell you to go the direction that they know, right? Because like they were in an institution for 12 years, 13 years, and then went back for another 4, right? And now went right back to a motherfucking institution. So they're going to push that motherfucking institution because that's what they are, right? And like, this is the motherfucking like shit that they know. You know what I mean? Like, this is all they know is the ideology. Like the people who are running thing, the only ideology they know is that like without, like abortion, like fucking if they got pregnant when they were fucking 17 by, whatever monkey that they were fucking, they would end up motherfucking having to have that baby and not be able to go to college. Right. And so like that's something in their brains where they go, oh my God, we can't fucking have that happen. You know what I mean? And
Right,
that's where
right.
the
You're gonna
mentality
lose
gets at.
a $60,000 debt to this person. Sure.
Mhm.
60,000
Or
try
whatever.
120
Yeah, I mean, they take a
230.
4-year fuck vacation and run up the bill much larger than that.
Pino, you just made me realize something. A great irony of the education system.
What up?
A bunch of these individuals went to college and got $100,000 plus worth of debt on their books so that they could bitch about women or POCs not being in STEM, but they never went to get a STEM degree themselves because that's the only thing their degree is good for, is bitching about it.
Joshua Demers, right? He says that's why I wouldn't have children if I could. Let's keep this honored. All right. If you had a kid, he would immediately put on a pair of motherfucking overalls with no shoes and go run around and try to motherfucking smoke meth and fucking gaffle alligators. All right. He would literally come out as the Florida man. Like he would be fishing out of his window with motherfucking M80s and shit at like 6 years old. Right? Like, please, for the love of God, keep your dick away from vaginas. All right? Legit.
I don't know, man. Fishing with M80 sounds like a pretty good time, if you ask me.
Shh. Do not fucking give him any goddamn ideas. All right? You ever seen the retarded genius? You know what the retarded genius looks like. You've been here. Okay. Legit. As much as I love those Florida guys, all right, and all the stories and all the nonsense that happens, I do not need, you know what I'm saying, another one of them niggas coming in my chat, right, and legitimately just losing his mind while he sits in a rocking chair with no shirt on, telling me about the motherfucking like interdimensional space demons that are trying to motherfucking spirit cook his brain. I don't want to go through this shit again.
Hey, man, at least I didn't say we're trying to fish for trout with dragon breath rounds.
Yo, look, I'll be real. If you did that here, I'd be proud of you because you'd be taking them communist fish the fuck out of the water. All right.
Oh, in that case, I know where I'm going fishing next.
Like, yo, legit. Like, fucking up here, you do understand that. Like, if you fucking fish for trout, you're a fucking communist, as far as I'm concerned. Okay, because the government puts the fish in and then tells you where they put the fish in, and then everybody lines up elbow to elbow, motherfucking trying to catch these goddamn fucking trout.
Oh God, it's like that.
Yeah. Because everybody comes down in their fucking Subaru Outbacks and their fucking Priuses and their goddamn motherfucking, Tesla Model S's, and they have like, their like little 3-year-old nephew with them or whatever, or grandpa brings out the little light-skinned kid to try to teach him something that's not motherfucking, rap, so he can fucking like turn into Colin Kaepernick later.
Dude.
About how much white people hate him. You know what I mean?
I unfortunately do know what you're talking about because I've seen the same thing, and I've never seen so many people not know what a damn catfish looks like.
Oh man, listen, like, I used to love it. I'd take my kids out to the motherfucking river and shit, and them dudes would pull up the bros and their, Jeep bros and shit. Like they pull up in their fucking $80,000 motherfucking Jeep with the giant ass fucking tires on and the lift kit and the extra motherfucking like fucking swing suspension and shit. And they'd pull out fucking $400 worth of motherfucking fishing gear, right? And my kids over here with a fucking bullshit ass fucking ugly stick, just pulling them out of the fucking water. And these guys are casting halfway across the goddamn river and shit. You're not catching a fucking thing. And my kids are looking at it like,
actually aren't. Oh, I saw someone pull a walleye out of the water once and thought it was a fucking bass.
Yo, I did that with a motherfucking carp one time, but I was really drunk and it was pitch black outside. And I got it home and I was like, son of a bitch. I thought I was going to have bass for dinner. I ended up having cut bait and having to hook up some rice.
At least you got bait out of it.
Yes. Right. They all have motherfucking coexist stickers on them. And by the way, I was debating on going out for turkey this year. Like I really badly want to go fucking hunting for turkeys because I keep seeing them all over the fucking place. It'd be awesome to get a string.
Dude, you gotta get up too fucking early for that shit. I fucking hate turkey hunting. Too fucking smart, man. You gotta get up at like 3 in the fucking morning and go plop your ass down. That's just too much for me, man. You know what? It's fun, but I can get turkey at the store.
I feel you. But I was
like fishing's at least let's go to the river or the lake for the day. You know what I mean? There's more to it than that. Like turkey hunting is let me get up at 3 in the morning and freeze my fucking balls off here and wait for this motherfucker. It's just not, you know, I don't know.
I don't know, man. There's something rewarding. There's something rewarding about hunting down your own meal and actually killing it, dressing it, and cooking it yourself. Like, I don't know. I like it.
It's different, dude. Turkey hunting is fucking hard. That animal is fucking smart. It ain't like a deer hunting, man. We're like, I'll go out in the morning, and then maybe I'll go out again on the tree stand in the afternoon. Like turkeys are fucking smart, and they know what.
Here's the thing about turkeys, right around here. Like I live in the mountains, so like it's not like a lot of other places in the country where like you can see for miles. You know what I mean? Like literally, like if you see a fucking red light around here, you better start slowing down. Like it just is what it is because like motherfucking like there's no flat land. So literally like they have to walk in front of you if like you're gonna fucking see them. You know what I mean? They're gonna walk anywhere. So you know what I mean? You can pop them. Like they're not turkey hunting's not that difficult. Here.
Dude, they're around until you go hunting for them. Trust me, that motherfuckers, man. I used to hunt them when I was younger, dude. I never had to wear so much camo and get my fucking happy ass up earlier to hunt anything else, man. Them motherfuckers, dude.
I always see them late night
until you got your fucking gun in your hand and it's fucking season.
Yeah,
Trust me.
I always see him at like 5:30, 6 o'clock. You know what I mean? That's the fucking time that I see him and shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I fucking dude. Turkey hunting's fun. I can't do it anymore. Somebody tried to get me out a while ago. It's just too early for me.
Yo, I feel you, but you can't be a bitch made nigga. You know what I'm saying?
You might be able to get me to go turkey hunting, Pino.
You got to get out there. Like, man, listen, you know what I mean? Like, let's keep this a buck. Like, these arts are being lost. Like,
I don't have a boy. That's the other part. You got boys, man. Like, my little girl don't have no fucking, she don't want to go hunt deer, much less go and hunt turkey. Like, it's a hard sell.
My little girls want to do everything with me. just
I mean, mine do too, but dude, getting them to go hunting real early is not as easy as it would be for some little boys. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yo, I'm gonna tell you what, like I bought my daughter a fishing rod for her birthday, and like they're highly upset that we didn't go fishing this weekend because
fishing's all day. It was like I said earlier, it's like going to the river or the lake. That's, you know what I mean? You make a day out of that shit. You know, hunting's different. It's like, all right, we're gonna go fucking camp in the woods. You know, no electronics, no nothing for hours to fucking murder something and then eat it. It's like, she just looks at me like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Well, like, you know,
you framed it wrong. You framed it wrong, Karma.
I don't run frame on my daughter, man. Game on my daughter, man. I'm very honest.
You got to run game on them. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I do to an extent, but...
Man, listen, like, yo, I be trying to turn a game into making them do laundry and do dishes and shit. You know what I mean?
Dude,
like,
she runs the house. There's a young man is going to be a very lucky, and I'm going to have some grandbabies, but getting her to go fucking bring home the dead animal, I don't know. She'll cook it, but.
Well, she just needs to know that that's what it takes to put food on the table. That's your dinner.
She gets it. She backs daddy up 100%. She eats the meat. She just don't want to fucking do the dirty work, you know?
Yo, straight Sith male, that is why you got to like pack slugs with you. You know what I'm saying? Legit. Like bring a couple slugs with you in your pocket just in case you run into a motherfucking deer. You know what I mean? That way you can just, you know, fucking pop that motherfucker when need be.
Man, that's dinner for a month.
To go back to some of the subject matter, I like how we went from like dollar Forex exchanges and hegemony globally to women are fucking ruining the world for cash and prizes. I like how it always, all roads lead to Rome. It's funny how that works.
Yo, man, listen. All right. You're on that part of the internet right now. I'm going to go women.
It's that simple, bro. It's like, yep. I feel like we're standing next to the fucking fence on King of the Hill, fucking drinking beer.
Women. Like, yeah, that's where we are. You know, and that's what I love about the church. You know what I'm saying? Like, a church always turns into a motherfucking good time, you know, and like, this is why, like a lot of motherfuckers, they do their streams and then, like, you know, it doesn't gain any more motherfucking viewpoints. But like, I do my streams and then the next day I'll have like an extra 200 views on them because motherfuckers take them to work and just go and listen to them and shit, you know, because like, it's always entertaining. It's always fucking something interesting to hear about, you know, and it always got really, really good information, you know, like I always try to bring the best information possible out here to y'all motherfuckers so we can put the whole mentality together. And like, so me and TK, when we started this conversation, like, we were standing here talking about motherfucking, like, whether the downturn in the economy was, or whether like the birth rate was the fault of the motherfucking downturn in the economy, or motherfucking, you guys ever, Johnny boy Pops was here earlier and I put a link in, it didn't come in, right? But I put motherfucking we were talking about whether or not like the downturn in the economy caused the birth rate to motherfucking fall, or like he was saying that like birth rates, okay, what was the birth rates go up in times of like riches? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Basically, when the annual GDP increase is going up, you see an increase in birth rates, and when the annual GDP increase is going down, which doesn't mean like contraction, just it's growing less fast, right? Because GDP number always go up. Like it's just right. When it goes up faster, you get more births, but when it goes up slower, you get less births.
Oh no, he was in the chat, Johnny. You know what I'm saying? I put a link in, but he didn't come into the show.
You know, I have a theory about this, and I can't substantiate it based on anything. It's literally just a theory that popped in my head, so don't take it as anything, you know, I have anything to back this up. It's just a thought.
We're all shooting from the hip.
Yeah, so if GDP is going up and you see a higher birth rate, I would bet you that's just a result of people have disposable income. They're going out, they're going to bars, they're meeting people, they're fucking, they're having fun. There's going to be a few people who get too drunk, don't use a condom. Hey, whoop-de-doo. Not everybody is all about the whole abort everything. You know, a few people are going to keep the babies. So the likelihood that you're going to see people going out, banging each other, having fun, getting drunk at the bar is going to coincide with more prosperous times.
I mean, and like, let me say this too,
you're
right?
not wrong, but go for it, Tom.
Because I also, you know, I mean, we were looking at like the demographic structure of America, like the pyramid or whatever. And like, how do I put this? Basically, the premise is that like part of it was the echo boom. And then like on top of that, you can't discount immigration in that motherfucking metric. Right? You know what I mean? Like when it comes down to it. So like if you want to like stand here and talk about that's fine. But on the same point, you have to add in the fact that like the massive amount of immigration we've had over the past 30 or 40 years is unfucking godly. Right. So you can't look at it just as a number by itself.
Dude, in the last 2 years, it's been ungodly since that fucking pandemic started. That border has been getting fucking ass raped, dude, down there for a couple years now.
Oh yeah, you see Biden's handing out cell phones,
dude.
Oh god, yeah.
Isn't it an extension of the Obama phone? I mean, no pun intended. Holy fuck, these fucking guys, these fucking clowns.
Well, have you heard of why they're going to pass them out?
So they can keep track of them.
So they can contact you when they need you to come to court.
Yeah, like that. Like you can't just swap out the fucking SIM card or something. But
I'm not even making that up. That's literally was one of the excuses they used. But
oh yeah, like this isn't like a person making decisions. This is like a mob that like has a figurehead that tries to cover for what it's doing.
No, it's true. Before we get too far off subject, what we were talking about in terms of like immigration and birth rates, I would really like to see a chart from a country, and I can't think of one off the top of my head because it's really only the past 20 years that we've noticed this, but I would like to be able to compare a country that has single female immigrants versus male or women with children immigrants and see how that affects the birth rate over a 10-year period.
They've never actually tried letting females into a country.
Yeah. They mostly just bring in like
They,
a shitload of excess males, which is
All
also
right.
part of the
They
reason
did
why
do
they.
all right. So they
go for
had
it.
a bunch of female immigrants in Sweden, and then all of a sudden the media started attacking the females that were coming in, right? Saying that like basically the males were motherfucking like abusing them and taking advantage of them because of
I
the fact
saw
that
that, Pinoid. That was
yeah,
crazy, man. They got all fucking what's that? Mate guarding? Is that what they called it? And they don't want any of those dudes, but they just got jealous anyways. It's like, God, how fucking cunty can you fucking be?
Yeah,
Well,
they,
it's
they
more
just don't want to compete.
yeah,
Well, you don't even want those guys anyways, so they try
Yeah,
to go be happy on their
yeah,
own, and
but
then
they
you're
like
still
the
pissed.
fact
It's like, holy
that
fuck.
no, like what they want is they want to like have more dudes to pick from. They don't care. Like they're only gonna pick one or two at a time anyway.
This
Right.
doesn't benefit me, right? Like this has
Right.
to also benefit me.
Right,
Yeah.
because understand that like all of those excess men, they're going to be that means that there's always going to be more than one dude competing for their attention personally. Like this is one of the major reasons why like this promiscuity and all this sexual bullshit is pushed, besides like the obvious personal agendas involved, right? But like there's the obvious thing, but like there are layers to this. But like if you have a population that, you know, let's just say that you've got a population of females that have a brain chip in them that they just don't want to do anything but shack up with one dude and no one else. So, you know, robots. If you had that situation and you had this number of excess men, you would get a lot of violence. Like a lot of violence. And that'd be especially bad because in America we have a lot of guns. Right? So like you would have something like what, 20 million or more people who are like supreme gentleman wannabes, and that would not be a solid situation. So it's better to just flood the entire field with porn, make all the women sluts, and then make it so that, you know, yeah, most of the men are depressed and don't really have a chance to have a meaningful relationship, but I mean they're all fucking distracted. Am I off? Just
no. I was listening to you. I was
just
waiting
like
for you to.
super
I was waiting for you to get to a
depressing.
point.
Sorry.
no, like all of these things are connected. Like these things aren't necessarily by accident.
Well, I have a better way to put this, right? All right. So, like, do you know where the first place was women got voting rights in America?
Wisconsin, Wyoming.
Wells, was it up in upstate New York somewhere?
No,
Wellesley
it was
College or some shit.
no. It was motherfucking it was either Wyoming or North Dakota.
Wow.
I thought it
That's
was
surprising.
Wyoming. Yeah.
Yeah. The reason is because like they wanted females to come out there, and so they simped out to as many females as possible.
I mean, from my understanding, like each one of the people who did vote for it, they voted for it thinking that it was just going to be like a symbolic act. They didn't actually expect it to pass.
Yeah. Well,
So
dudes
it's
are
like
simps.
the original blue pillars trying to simp for some.
Yeah,
blue
like
gang.
they were 100% virtue signaling. And they just didn't realize that they were all gonna virtue signal.
We'll give you guys rights if you come touch our peepees.
Or if you just
Basically.
come here, they didn't even want them to touch their peepees. They just wanted them to come there.
Just come here. We don't even need the peepee.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this
Lots of-
was back when like the old men actually like gave a shit about maybe having the younger generation not just be miserable.
Also, if you
Everybody's
think about it,
selfish.
in an
And that's
area like
why.
Wyoming, if the birth rate is going down, I need kids because, like Pinoy put it, kids are basically farm equipment. Wyoming's not an easy place to live in. Like I need strong young labor.
And this is why turd flinging monkey's idea of everybody go to Alaska is a stupid fucking idea.
You mean
Fuck,
besides
That's
the
hard
fact
living
that
up there.
yeah, besides the fact that like Alaska's a commie hellhole?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like you have to understand, like the fucking male to female ratio in Alaska is like it is in China. All right, it's fucking bad, and they just keep simping out to the fucking broads. And you think that you know what I'm saying? Like, yo, you're gonna bring all those dudes there, and they're gonna vote for like red pill bullshit or whatever. It's not gonna happen. Like legit.
Yeah, but even if that is the case, and like we all decide, all right, let's all agree to go move somewhere. Can we fucking like go to like fucking Costa Rica or something? Like, why has it got to be Alaska if we're gonna try to do the? Can we go somewhere where there's like a beach and it's fucking nice? You know what I
Where it's
mean?
warm?
Because nice.
Yeah, where it's warm. That'd be great.
Well, the
Let's go a
issue
place
is
where it's
like,
warm and we have good ground to grow fucking crops on, and it's not like dark 6 months out of the fucking
Yeah,
year.
for 24 hours a day.
I'll
part
be
of
honest.
the issue is that really, really prosperous areas do also breed communism, like California.
They get that check too. It's funny you bring that up, and I was just about to say that. Like I always thought that turd like that idea because dude, you live in Alaska, they fucking pay you to live there. Like the oil company just sends you a check every year.
How much? How much you think that is?
I think it's like 5 to 10 grand, Pinoid. I don't think it's you know
It's like $1,500 a year.
Is it really? I thought it was more than that.
Yeah, I make more money selling covered calls against my oil holdings than that.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I think a lot of
make
people
that
have
shit in a month.
misconceptions. You know, they think that, oh, I'm going to get this free oil cash and all this shit. And it's like, dude, it's Alaska. It's fucking cold. It's dark for 24. Like, that ain't easy fucking living, man. You know? Like,
And on top of that, do you know how much everything costs? Yo, living in Alaska,
sure.
is living in Hawaii,
I'm sure.
right? Everything is a premium good. Everything. Like
Yeah,
legit.
like ordering something from Amazon is like fucking parting the Red Sea, I'm sure.
It's like, yo, it's literally like paying for shipping from something from London. You know what I mean? Yo, it is
Sure.
obscene. You know what I mean? Like, yo, fuck that. Because literally, like, yeah, there is a cargo port in, I want to say Anchorage. There's a cargo fucking airport there where like FedEx and shit flies shit in and out of Asia. But if that's not part of the regular goods, that's just like, you want a banana ever again? You know what I mean? Like, you might not want to go to Alaska. You know what I'm saying? Because it takes a long time to get a goddamn banana.
Need that hard living though. I think some guys are maybe didn't have those opportunities when they were growing up, and that's the stage they're in their life.
Oh, like, yo, look, I am down for going back to the farm. Like, I'm fucking like, dude, you understand? Like, I spent a good.
I want my
chunk of
farm to be
childhood
somewhere
in
warm though. I'm with you, Pinoid. Let's farm where it's nice and warm. Yeah.
Or, you know,
Sunshine,
you could
good,
just
good.
send them to Montana instead of Alaska, and it could be a lot cheaper and effectively the same thing, except not as much seafood.
You know
Well,
what?
in Idaho-
this is the reason you don't want me to end up being worth billions of dollars, because I will go to Alaska for one reason and one reason only. I'm going to build the world's largest trebuchet and see if I can hit the Kremlin from fucking Alaska. And then I'll blame it on Sarah Palin.
I mean, we've been talking
it.
about it all night, like the births and where the demographics are. Like, there just is no. And Pinoid said it. There's no way that like men could go somewhere and like make their own spot. It's not gonna fucking happen. So
I mean,
this whole
like, you could
community, our
try.
best thing is to just try to be aware of what's going on and try to make whatever choices you need to make your life better, you know, and like
I mean,
I
like,
don't
here's
think
the
we
thing.
could
Like, yo,
congregate anywhere. I just don't think, and then it would degenerate into competition and shit too. It just wouldn't be.
I mean,
great.
like, if you want to build your own community and try to do that, I would, you know, I mean, like, recommend making it out of fire retardant material because the ATF's going to come. You know what
Yeah,
I
oh
mean?
fuck yeah, dude. You know what I'm saying? They'll shoot your wife and your pregnant son right in her fucking belly at the front door like they did in fucking Ruby Ridge. They don't give a fuck, dude.
No, see,
Again,
Pino, I got a better idea. I'm gonna make 100 I'm gonna become a billionaire, and I'm gonna make 100 Guatemalans millionaires, and I'm gonna start my own commune in Alaska. And if the ATF tries to come after me, then I'm just gonna pull the same bullshit they do. That's discrimination. Now build my trebuchet.
No. See, this is the problem, right? They're going to come in with overwhelming force and just start launching hellfire rockets at you and shit. And then they're going to like shoot at your pregnant women on purpose. You know what I mean? Because like they don't want you fucking breeding. Like, yeah, like, and it's weird because, you know, like they can have like things, you know what I mean? Like that, what was that? Fucking trap? Fucking, what was the thing that they fucking started over there in goddamn fucking Portland? What was the hell?
The
Chop.
The chop.
Yeah, they can have chop, right? But like the moment we try to do some shit like that, it's all hands on deck, and they're gonna like kill our dog and you know what I mean, like skin our cat in front of us and shit, and like nail it to the fucking front door.
They bring the big guns out and start telling you you're doing tax evasion and shit. You know what I mean? So everybody hates you. Like,
I mean, the
he's
scary-
not paying his taxes. Get him.
I mean, the scary part is they already tried to pull that shit in Canada, talking about like, oh, you got your truck impounded. I guess we're gonna have to take your dog. If you can't get it in 7 days, we're gonna kill it.
Dude, when they took people's money from GoFundMe and then gave it to other charities, like how many fucking laws can you break in people's faces and they don't like?
I mean, yeah,
I can't believe what happened up there. Like, it's craziness.
Yeah, I mean, like, yo, listen, man. All right, they are giving hellfire rockets to motherfucking, to the goddamn motherfucking Ukrainians right now, because like literally people going to college and being homosexuals is more important, legitimately, than an entire country's sovereignty. You know what I mean? They will bury as many people as possible in order to continue to have the cathedral and liberal motherfucking values pushed on the entire world.
I was gonna say a minute ago for that. I'm sorry, dude. That the Waco thing. They had a tranny up there, fucking telling us how bad those guys are. Remember Janet Reno? I think her name was. Pinoy, that like 7 foot tall fucking Amazon lady. I swear she was a tranny when I was a kid.
Yeah, I think Bill Clinton tried to fuck that bitch too. That's the crazy.
Oh, he would have, dude. Hey, he would have.
Yo, that nigga would fuck anything, legit.
Oh, yeah.
Yo, me and him could hang out sometime. I'll be real. Like,
I mean, honestly, man, considering who he's married to, I don't blame the guy.
I feel you. I feel anything's got to be better than that motherfucking like devil bat cave full of motherfucking stalactites and fucking vampires and shit.
Pinoy, his body count, you gotta kind of respect it. Like, but then you look at his other body count, and it's like, oh fuck, you know what I mean? Like Vince Foster, like there's many there. So
I mean, let's keep this 100. All right, that I don't think it was his body count. I think it was his wife's.
Yeah, no, you're right. I got it. Yeah, all right. He's just a dumb fuck that was along for the ride. I agree 100%, man.
They're like, yo, you're the squeaky clean front guy. You just hang out and try to fuck pussy and be all charming. You know what I mean? Like, because that's what he was. Like, it's like me.
Put these sunglasses on and look cool playing the fucking sax like one of the California Raisins. We'll get all the vote, buddy.
It's like if I ever really like got into politics, I would never be the front guy. Shit, right? I'd run a nigga like AP. You know what I mean? Like, here's what you say, bro. You know what I mean?
You know how many Epstein plane rides that dude got, and like he never paid for nothing, man. Like he's just along for the ride. Like his whole life has just been funded. You know what I mean? Like
he's a front man,
bro. His life is no one. You know what I mean? Like it's just amazing. Could you imagine just any chick that walks in the room? You could just assume that I can fuck her right now. And if I try to, no one will try to stop me. She could cry rape, ain't gonna fucking matter. Like, yeah. Could you imagine that kind of fucking power, dude?
Yeah, I could. I could.
I mean, you don't need to imagine it. It's basically already happened.
No, I know. It's just crazy.
I've been around monsters my whole life, son. Like I can imagine it take power. Legit. I've known real hardcore, like niggas went down for kingpin charges for drugs and shit and RICO statutes. Like, yeah, I can't imagine that type of shit. I know what it is. You know what I mean? Even if it's just on a small scale.
I mean, Pino, you know me, dude. I live outside of DC, and I've had the chance to talk to a few individuals, and all the shit you guys think is crazy,
No, I have no
Nah,
idea.
it's really not that
No clue.
crazy.
You have no
That
clue.
shit happens on a daily fucking basis. It's really not that. It's not that wild. The wild shit is the shit that you don't hear about,
Like
and you probably don't want to know.
I've watched cops get their guns and radios taken from them legitimately. And so, hey, what is it that you exactly want here? Your life or this guy? Because it's completely up to you. Legit. You know what I mean? A motherfucker just walk away and just do that shit. Like, yo, it just is what it is. You know what I mean? Like, it just, yo, some motherfuckers like legitimately have these type of abilities in our society. And as long as you don't cross them, you're all right. To be a fact, you get on their side. You do pretty well for yourself. You know what I mean?
All right, so I'll share a personal story that I don't share often, but it's just more to make a point. And I never got these people's names for a very specific reason. I don't want to know them. But I was in DC and I was smoking a cigarette. I was outside in front of a hotel in DC and gave a dude a cigarette and a lighter because he didn't know where his went. He was like, "Oh, where are you staying?" It's like we ended up being like 2 floors apart. He's like, "Oh, come up and party with us." I was like, "I don't really have anything for you." He's like, "It doesn't matter." Talking to the dude, turns out he's a legal person for a lobbyist group inside of Washington. And I walk in the room. Yes, there are hookers. Yeah, okay. I shit you not, there is a pile of fucking coke sitting on one table. There's a pile of weed at least 3 times the size of the pile of coke sitting on another table, and there's like 3 fucking dudes sitting in the corner, all in suits, fucking just smoking weed in the hotel that you're not allowed to smoke in. No one's gonna do a fucking damn thing about it. Why? Because these people have power and they know it. So yeah, they're just sitting there smoking weed, doing coke, having hookers, fucking doing whatever the fuck it is they're doing.
That's just
they was like,
that
it was
is
like, yo,
just
look, they
And
were like, no one's gonna believe this Asian dude if he says anything anyway. You know
and
what
that's
I
the
mean?
thing.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Nobody fucking cares because they have money, they have power. Like they don't give a shit.
Yeah, they were like, we're gonna let this guy come party with us. He's just a little Asian motherfucker. No one really gives a shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you see shit like that normally. Go ahead,
fucking-
TK. Go ahead,
no,
TK.
Oh, okay. Apparently
Yeah,
TK's tired.
But what TK was saying is like, yeah, you see that shit
Tired of me.
normally. You see that shit normally, but not in regards to people who have direct access to fucking politicians.
Yeah, I guess my point was more like I've seen like ghetto trash act like that in a hotel, and nobody can do anything about it. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, here's
you're
the
gonna
thing.
call
Let
the
me tell you,
cops
let me
and
tell
have
you a
them
little
get out,
secret
like-
about things. All right, legitimately, no one really cares what you do. Legitimately, no one gives a fuck what you do. As long as you're not bothering them, they don't fucking care. Legitimately. Right? You could pretty much, as long as you can do something and get away with it and not get arrested, no one's gonna fucking care.
That was
that's-
kind of my point. Like, even though those guys were like, you know, somebody you typically wouldn't think could do that, like nobody gives a fuck, dude. Unless you're like if you're staying in a hotel, you're probably gonna hear some people fucking. You're probably gonna hear some people partying. It's nothing out of the ordinary. You know what I mean?
Oh, I didn't give a shit about it. It's just one of those things where it's like, oh, you guys have direct access to people who are extremely powerful, and you're just okay, whatever. All right, I'll drink with you guys. Fuck it, why not? I'm not doing anything better. I don't give a fuck. But the funny part is the one guy who invited me up. One of the whole reason they're even doing coke is not to get fucking high. It's like, yeah, no, I've got to catch a plane at 5 a.m. and fly to Chicago and argue this thing, and then fly back the next fucking day. So I'm taking the coke with me. It's like, you can do that? He's like, yeah, I'm flying on a private jet. I can do whatever the fuck I want. It's like, well, shit. All right, more power to you. Cheers. I don't give a fuck. But it's like if you try to tell that to just your normal person who doesn't understand the way shit works inside DC and inside the Beltway, like we're talking about people who are extremely powerful who make decisions that affect the entire fucking country, if not the world. And this is the type of shit they do for fun. Like, so I don't want to hear the virtue signaling. Well, I don't want to hear the
people
virtue
too.
signaling.
We party, right? Like once in a while, everybody does. They're just cutting loose. You know what I mean? It's not
Well, like, yo, you have to remember, like, yo,
hookers.
a lot of
weed, coke.
Americans think that like these fucking people are above them, right? Like they literally think like like when you hear about North Korea and how like they're like Kim Jong-il has never had a bowel movement, right? You know what I mean? Like this type of mental is not unheard of in the end of the day, right? Because like you could get these politicians to pass off whatever they want to tell you about themselves. And you know what I mean? Like it's just as long as like fucking they're elected, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Like people
that's
are
the
gonna
thing. Like,
fucking
what
hear it.
was
Carmen, go ahead, say what you're gonna say.
Well, remember
Oh,
like
Goku
the
was
one
up.
guy like a few weeks ago, he's saying like I got invited to this party and they were having orgies and shit, and it's like, dude, no one who pays attention to what's going on in DC is surprised by that. Like, even if you're not directly involved or you don't live outside of DC, all you have to do is know someone by proxy, and they can tell you, yeah, dude, that shit goes on all the fucking time. Like, these people are all worth millions of dollars. They set the law. Like, you want to complain about like tax policy if you've been doing shit.
Have orgies and shit too. You know, it's just normal human shit, really.
Yeah, again, like now take someone who's worth
man,
millions of dollars.
This is my problem about shit, right? Like legitimately, you know, you do understand that, you know what I mean? Like you don't have to listen to the rules. Like I don't usually ever listen to the fucking rules in the end of the day. Like you only have to listen to the rules to the point of where like you don't get caught. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't just go and shoot somebody in the middle of the motherfucking street and walk off like it ain't shit. But there's tons of things in between, like jaywalking and that you can fucking just get away with, as long as you know what I mean. Like you're fucking good. You know what I mean?
You're breaking a law just getting out of bed in the morning. So I mean, you know, they'll write you a ticket for something, man. You know what I mean? So like,
and here's the thing with 350.
Fucking stop sweating the small shit, right? Is that kind of what you're saying? I mean,
well, with 350 million people, how much do you think they really watch?
Barely anything. Barely anything.
Like legitimately, dude. Like you would be amazed how much you can game the goddamn system and get away with it. Like legit.
A really easy way to explain it and be like, okay, these individuals here, I won't say how many there were, but they all represent special interest groups and lobbyist groups that use fucking billions, if not trillions of fucking dollars to pursue political interests. Do you really think the people that benefit from what these guys do are going to care about the fact that they decided to do cocaine and smoke weed and get drunk at a hotel before they go and, you know, get down to business one night? No, dude, they don't give a flying fuck. No one cares.
It's the same thing in the business world, right? Like, as long as you deliver, I mean, like, you businessmen doing deals and things, that's how that works, man. You go talk to the other company, next thing you know, you're out doing drinks, hookers, fucking boom, deal's done. It's the same shit, man. As long as the delivery is there, no one cares about the fucking labor pains. They just want the baby. You know what I mean?
So one third of Virginians don't have a driver's license who are on the road. All right. Legitimately, they're not watching anymore. The fucking system is goddamn so corroded and fucked that literally most people could just do whatever the fuck they want and nobody's gonna say shit to you.
Like, as long as you don't draw attention to yourself and act like a freaking idiot.
Yeah,
like as long as you don't put like a Jesse Smollett or do something incredibly fucking stupid, like they don't give a shit. Like, just don't draw people's attention to you, especially negative attention. You can pretty much go about your damn business. No one's gonna bother you.
I've been a manager for a long time, man, and like we drug test when we hire people and all this shit. It's all fucking bullshit, dude. Like, I know who's fucking putting fake pee to get through their test. I mean, people are like that, man. They have to blow off some steam. Like, I know on Monday morning people are going to be kind of fucking groggy. You know what I mean? That's just how it is. And on Friday, I'm only going to get a half a day out of everybody. That's just how the fuck it is, man. You know, so people need to go recharge their batteries and go do, when you're being responsible all the time, paying taxes, every once in a while, you need to go out and be fucking irresponsible. It's just, I don't know why. It's like this yin yang thing with people. Like, you got to talk to the devil on your shoulder as much as you talk to the angel. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't know, hearing that a bunch of these people, like, that doesn't surprise me at all. People are like that. They need to blow off steam and party. And the more stressful career or job you have, typically the more fucking steam needs to go. and those people party twice as hard because they work twice as hard or whatever. It's just, I don't know. I'll shut the fuck up.
I don't
Like,
even.
not,
I don't
like
even know
yo,
the
look,
stat.
here's what it is. So here's what it is, right? It's like a cocaine versus weed argument that I have a lot of times, right? It's like basically, you know who a weed guy or an alcohol guy is when they're children, right? You can see it in them, right? And then like you know who a motherfucking cocaine kid is when you fucking see him as a kid, the cocaine and meth kids, right? You know the two different kids because the kid who's doing cocaine, the kid who's going to do cocaine is the kid who's riding wheelies the whole way down the fucking street on his BMX bike. It's the kid who's jumping off of a goddamn roof. And I mean that
He's
weed
got
and
like
alcohol.
4 girlfriends going. He's selling
Yeah.
fucking shit out of his
Yeah.
backpack.
You know who the fuck he is, right? We
Oh,
all
yeah.
know who that cocaine kid is, right? Like I knew fucking females when I was a kid, right? Or when I was younger, and like their kids were out here, like they're literally like fucking 6 years old, and they're like fucking running their bikes down a fucking hill, jumping off of a brick wall. I was like, your kids are cocaine kids. They're not weed kids. You know what I'm saying? She had one of her kids, like he was chill as fuck and like just like to hang the fuck out and you know what I mean, like watch fucking TV. It's like that's a weed motherfucker, right? There's two separate motherfuckers, and like it's a difference between like a fucking stockbroker and a guy who, you know what I mean, like I don't know, like stacks boxes for a living. They're two
Yeah, I
different
mean,
dudes.
a factory worker, dude, he's the guy runs the press all fucking day. That guy, you know, that's a low stress job. You know, he might need a beer on Saturday night or two, you know. The
Or 12,
lawyer
depending on how
in
much
fucking New York City, he's gonna need a huge pile of blow and some hookers to get through
Yeah.
this weekend.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. That guy making high frequency trades on motherfucking Wall Street and shit and like dealing with millions of dollars of other people's fucking money all the time. Like, yo, that guy there, that's a cocaine dude.
Yeah,
High risk,
exactly.
risk prone motherfucker. You know what I mean? Like, and that's a big difference between the two. And like, I guess like my whole point was like just to begin with this whole thing is that like legitimately, right? You know, laws and rules, all right, are only made because like we have this society that looks at things from a moral aspect, from a mental of people who literally don't do shit, right? And I understand like having this policy of like, oh, you pick yourself up by your bootstraps and you know, you don't fucking like, you know, you got to set the fucking bar high, right? That way when people fall, it's not so goddamn far. Because like if we just said all drugs are legal, like you'd have niggas in the street, you know what I'm saying, just gaffling everybody all over the fucking place. Like that would absolutely happen. You'd have to step over dead bodies on your way to work. But you know, I feel like, you know what I mean, like the system has decayed to the point of where like literally like, yo, you could probably motherfucking like, yo, I know for a fact you could do blow in public and the only people who would really actually care would probably be some Karen somewhere. Everybody else would just mind their business and not give a fuck.
And
That's where I'm at.
that's the majority of people is like, look, as long as you're not fucking with my shit, I really don't care what you choose to do. Like, if it doesn't fuck with me, it's none of my damn business. Like, whether I agree with it or disagree with it is irrelevant. Again, don't mess with my shit. I won't mess with yours. It's that simple.
Right. And like my other mental is, you know what I mean, like legitimately, like, you know, I don't get all upset and fucking like feel some sort of kind of way about dudes who don't pay their taxes or, you know what I mean, like guys who break the law. I don't really care as a whole, me personally. I'm like, good for you. You know, like, good
Hell
for
yeah,
you.
dude. I go the rebel route. Like, good for you, man.
Yeah.
At least somebody's giving it back to him. You know what I mean?
Fuck 'em. You know what I mean? Right? Like you're
Fuck
striking
yeah.
back for the little guys. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
You know,
You know?
I have gripes against Trump, but one of his favorite things I ever heard from him was when everyone was like, "You don't pay your taxes, you don't pay your fair share." He's like, "Yeah, that's because I'm smart." It's like, it's right. He's right. Like all these fucking rich career politicians who get their paychecks from the fucking taxpayer, they're the ones who set the damn tax policy, and they utilize those loopholes that they've put in place through their own policy for their own personal benefit. I'm going to do the same damn thing. If you don't think I'm not going to, you're fucking delusional. They're the ones who did it. They built the loopholes in place. If you don't think I'm going to use that to my advantage the same way that they do, bruh, you got another thing coming. I'm going to utilize that all way 5 ways to fucking Sunday because I'm going to keep as much of that money as I possibly can. You can claim it's not moral. Well, that's fine. I can say that you promising, tax dollars to help people who shouldn't be here in the first place to help them out. When they need it more than I do, isn't moral either. But I don't see you fucking bitching about that. So yeah, I don't want to hear that fucking pearl clutching virtue signaling bullshit. I'm not the one that fucking made the rules. I'm just playing the game.
Yeah, I mean, that's just Democrats fucking cunts, man. I mean, they do all the same shit. None of them fuckers pay their fair share either. You know, you find me a senator or a fucking House rep, and I'll show you somebody who was middle class when they showed up and was fucking grossly rich by the time they fucking got out of there, dude. It's like
the top 1%.
Explain that to me, right? Oh, they suddenly became a fucking genius stock trader. Okay, you know what I mean? Like, it's just ridiculous, man.
Well, you want to see some of these idiots get really fucking pissed off when they start trying to talk about this whole tax the rich thing and this and that, and be like, okay, ask them this question, and it's a 2-part question. It's really fucking simple. 1, did I make the rules? Did you make the rules? Who made the rules? Because we know who did, and they'll have to acknowledge it. There's no way to fucking weasel out of that one. So the second question, and this is the one that pisses them off, I'm playing by the rules that have been set. Where did my paycheck come from, and where did theirs come from? Because my paycheck is not coming from tax dollars.
People end up paying most of the taxes anyways when you look at the end of the year. I mean, you look at guys like Elon Musk, he's just blowing that shit up. He's fucking making me laugh so fucking hard, dude, buying Twitter, telling fucking, what's her name, Pocahontas to go fuck herself. She called him out on that. Like, oh, I wish billionaires would pay their fair share of taxes. He like posted his taxes up like, that's the GDP of a small country you guys just took from me last year. You know what I mean? Like,
and again,
where the fuck are we going here?
Here's my real question. When's the last time the government actually helped you?
Never.
They never help anyone. They just slow you down. I mean, they slow bit. That's all they do to business too.
Then like, yo, why are we giving them money?
I have no idea. We don't give it to them, Pinoy. They take that shit. We talked about Ruby Ridge and Waco earlier. There's not really a lot you can do to get around that, if you know what I'm saying.
Well, I mean, like, yo, they, you know what I mean? Like, they don't take mine.
Who is that couple in New Hampshire? Edna Lane Brown. That was a few years ago. They fucked those people up. They're still in jail, you know?
Well, I've been saying this for a long ass time. Who do you trust more to spend your money? You, yourself, the person that actually worked to earn it, assuming you're not a career politician, or someone you've never met before in your entire life that is going to threaten force against you if you don't spend money the way that they want you to spend it? Because as far as I'm concerned, I don't need your government provided insurance. I don't need to be told to donate to a charity. I'd prefer to pick my own. I don't need the fucking government. I would much prefer to keep every single fucking cent that I work my ass off to make, and I can spend it how I damn well please.
Nobody
and I
cares
guarantee
what
you
we
society
want anymore, though.
Well,
like,
and
if
I
you're
would
a
guarantee you,
logical, smart fucking person, like, sorry, dude, we're not pushing you right now. Like, you don't, Pinoid said it earlier, you don't spend 40% more on dumbass, high margin markup shit. So why should we push you anywhere?
well, that's because I understand the value of $1 because I have to fucking work for it.
No, I get that. I'm being like sarcastic right now. Like,
No,
this
I get
is
you.
how people look at you. Like,
I'm sorry, that came off as a pejorative and I didn't mean it to. So my bad on that
like,
one.
no one's gonna push us that. Like, it sucks, dude, that we're on bitch think now globally. It's really fucking pisses me off, but it's where we're at, dude.
No, I get you, and this is something I try to have this conversation with a lot of different people, and whether it's at the bar or on the godforsaken fucking website known as Twitter. But I ask people, like, would you prefer to have all of your dollars in your hand and you can spend it as you so choose? Or are you going to take a portion of that money, give it to someone who you've never met before in your entire fucking life, and assume that they're going to spend it in a responsible way? And oh, by the way, portion of that money that you gave them also goes to their salary.
I wish everybody was responsible and logical.
I literally don't care if no one's
It'd be like a libertarian fucking utopia.
Why would we care?
Oh, I don't either, but it just, like, he has his finances in order, and like people that are like that typically do, and they're not dependent, so they don't need the government to bail them out constantly, so he can have these trains of thought.
But Karma,
he's a very low percentage of the population.
But
9 out of 10
karma.
people in the room that he's in are fucking idiots and need the government to wipe their ass every other week when they make a stupid fucking decision.
But
in their life.
karma, it's not even that. That's not even the thing that annoys me. The thing that annoys me is that these idiots are literally paying someone to make decisions for them that they can't disagree with and opt out of. You're literally paying someone to tell you what to do.
I fucking hate the government. I agree with you 100%. But these fucking bitches, man, they're voting for cash and prizes. So they don't fucking care if these people are despotic fucking monsters. They're dangling fucking cash and prizes in front of their face. So they'll sell out their entire countries, their grandfathers, their fathers, everything that they built just to get their little fucking cash and prizes now.
Well, it's because somehow that they've been convinced that for whatever reason, these people are going to take care of you. All you have to do is just concede power.
Useful idiots, man. Useful idiots. They don't understand it. They're going to have to learn. Like, it sucks, but that's, there's no turning back, dude. We cannot stop it at this point. Like, I just don't see how anything could be peacefully or academically stopped. And I don't even see how, if everybody grabbed up guns and started going fucking guerrilla style, that we could even stop it either. It's like gone that far.
All right, so if we really want to get cut to the core of this issue and make some sort of significant change, it's not going to start with our generation. It's just not. That ship is done, set sail.
And that's why I really like MGTOW, because the best thing we can do is try to spread ideas and teach the younger men what to watch out, how to hunt, man. It's it's tough nowadays, man.
Well,
I think that's the greatest impact we can make is like try to share with the youth and get the youth to have the young men to have as much information they have to operate quietly and do what they need to do.
So Car, there's 4 points, and if you have children or you plan on having children, there are 4 very important things that you need to instill in them. 1, don't let somebody make decisions for you. You make your own decisions. Number 2, if you make your own decisions, take accountability for those decisions. Number 3, for the love of God, teach your fucking children how to spend their money responsibly.
What's up, guys?
Yo, what's up, Florida man?
You guys can hear me?
Yo.
Yeah, you're coming through, dude.
Cool. Great.
Number 4.
Wow.
Yeah, man, that broke my train of thought. But damn it.
Responsible spending was number 3.
Yeah, teach your children how to spend responsibly. Don't let anybody make decisions for you. Make your decisions for yourself. Have accountability for your own decisions. And for the love of fucking God, don't let someone shame you into silence. Always speak your fucking mind, even if you're wrong.
That is the dumbest shit I've ever heard in my life.
No, dude, I disagree. Always speak your mind, even if you're fucking wrong.
That's the dumbest shit ever.
Why? Well, I'm curious. Why is that dumb?
Like, yo, man, listen, like, let me be honest with you. Like, the vast majority of motherfucking times that I've gotten out of shit or gotten away with shit is because I kept my fucking mouth closed. Right? Like, yo, don't attract too much attention to yourself. Like, that's highly the fucking important in real life. Like, yo, the secret is to keep your fucking mouth shut and motherfucking, like, yo, keep as low of a profile as possible. Yo, legitimate.
Well, maybe a middle ground. Speak when it's really important, I guess. I agree.
Okay, yeah, no, that's actually a fair point. So,
like, yo, you don't want to be that motherfucker. Like, yo, legitimate. The squeaky nail gets the goddamn grease. You know what I mean? Like, yo, the whole point of life is to, like, survive. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to be the dude who, you know what I mean, like, is motherfucking singled out for every motherfucking thing all the goddamn time. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so I guess I see your point. I would rephrase them what I would say.
Okay.
What's the other one, Pinoid? The nail that sticks out gets the hammer?
Yeah. The nail that gets hammered is the one that sticks out, motherfucker. Like, yo, like that's how that works. Right?
Yeah, I guess the second part then would be the more important part is you only speak up when you know you're going to win. They don't.
No, it's not even about that, dude. It doesn't matter. Like, yo, winning isn't the motherfucking important part. Legit.
Survival.
The survival is the most important goddamn part of this. Like, yo, do you really want to like be the motherfucker? Like, Florida man told a story about going to work and like, you know, fucking like doing some shit or whatever. And legitimately, like, did you keep your job, Florida man, by the way?
Oh yeah, what's funny is they were really looking up the laws. If I broke any laws, like, well, you didn't break any laws, but you just can't sell anything to coworkers, cars, watches. So just sign a paper of that I won't retaliate, and that's it. So it was all good.
Yeah, right. You know what I mean? Like, yo, legitimately, and he just sold something to somebody to fuck else. Let alone motherfucker standing here like speaking your fucking mind. You know what I mean? Like, yo, nigga, I've worked for a company for a year now, and I don't know the bosses. I don't even know the name of the company.
I suppose.
Okay, maybe you should at least know the name of the company. At the very least.
I don't know the name of the company. Legit.
I suppose picking your battles would be an important aspect to this one, because I'm sorry, if somebody's going to come to my house and try to tell me that we're going to do this with your kids or we're going to try to take your guns away, I'm sorry, at that point in time, I'm not going to keep my mouth shut. There are lines that I am not willing to.
Oh, well, I'll say this. I told my manager straight up. I told the company, if you try to make me take the shot, I won't do it. I will quit now, straight up. I'm not doing that. Yeah, but
that's like Doku. That's kind of, dude. You seem like the kind of guy that would hear about gun confiscations. You would move, like you would know. You would foresee the inevitable confrontation and understand that you are stubborn enough to stand your ground in that regard, and you would remove the smartest thing to do is to take your fucking kids and go somewhere where that confrontation isn't going to be forced down your throat.
That's what most people do.
That's survival.
Well,
so like standing there
more
being
specifically,
like,
I circumvented.
Go ahead.
And more specifically, I try to step in front of that before it actually ever happens, and I make sure that I make sure I have all my pieces in order before it ever gets to that point. But my point is this: when I see something like that start to happen, I'm not going to keep my mouth shut about it. I'm going to let people know, hey, this is what they plan on doing. I'm not going to just sit down and keep my mouth shut.
Dude, that's some Paul Revere shit.
Well, no.
But, you don't want to, like, when the cops are at your door, be like, all right, it's go time. Like, you're going to get shot, man.
Yo, listen, here's the thing. All right, yo, listen, all right. Like, yo, I'll be honest with you, like, and this is coming from somebody who, has really actually like been in this life, right? Who has like really been
stabbed, shot, and
yeah, right. Somebody who's actually been there, right? Let me tell you like this. The best thing that you can do is not let a motherfucker know what you're gonna do next, right? Not even give them a motherfucking hint about how you feel, what you're doing, what's going on. Right, what you do is you keep your fucking mouth shut, right? And like, yo, if you feel as though like, yo, what you want to do is something fucking stupid, then you just strike out and you fucking do it, and you don't give them any goddamn warning that it's coming.
Like with me,
I'm at least a chance to be successful at that moment.
Like for me, when I eventually get a new job, I'm just gonna quit. I'm gonna get some vacation time and quit halfway. I'm not gonna let them know or tell them shit. Because fuck my company.
And that's the thing. You pick your battles. If I thought this was going to have a negative impact on me, trust me, I wouldn't be fucking talking about it. But I already know it's not going to.
Well, it's not even just
no. I'm saying like you're giving advice to other human beings is where I'm at, right?
Oh, I get you. I follow, bro.
Like, being in a position of where like all right, these motherfuckers can't, like, I can't lose my job. I don't work for anybody. I have my own company, right? You have your own company, like, you do your own thing, right? There's a lot of motherfuckers out here, who don't have their own shit. They're working on their own, like they're working on other people's motherfucking dime. They're trading their labor for shit, right? And the best thing you can do, legitimately, like 100%, is to keep your fucking mouth shut. Don't let them know what the fuck it is you're thinking. Don't let them motherfuckers know what the hell it is you're planning. Don't let them know you're even upset. Don't let them know nothing. You just shh, right? And you like, yo, until like you are motherfucking absolutely ready for that fucking battle, then you go to war. But like, yo, you don't go to war if you ain't fucking prepared. You don't go to war if you ain't made plans. You don't stand here and stand up and motherfucking go, I'm gonna be counted right now, right? If you ain't ready to be knocked the fuck down. You know what I mean?
He's
Well,
right.
yeah,
Joker.
and that's
And,
the
like,
thing.
keeping
You
your mouth
don't,
shut,
yeah, you
you'll
don't
get-
needlessly make yourself a target.
Yeah, so you
you
don't
may
just
think
speak
of it
your
as
mind
like,
whenever you want to. You're not a fucking female.
yeah,
Legit.
you may think of it as like, oh, well, they got one over on me because I didn't say what I wanted to or whatever. But it's recon too, man. When you just let people fucking talk and shit, they're giving you everything, man. And now, like he was saying, now you can plan a little more. So when it does come to that inevitable war or confrontation, you've got so much data that no one else has on you. You know what I'm saying? And like you can make a good plan. No one sees you coming either. They don't expect it when you fucking come at them. You know, you just hit harder. Your jokes land harder. All that shit, man. It should always be reserved and conservative when it comes to how you deal with people. I agree with Pinoid 100%.
It's
Yeah.
I did make a mistake believing that I am talking to people that everyone's going to have the same sort of mindset that I do, where when I say you speak your mind and you don't let somebody silence you, I assume that you're already going to have positioned yourself in such a way where, yeah, you're basically guaranteed to win. But
Dude, you're good. I mean, you're a younger guy, right? I mean, you sound younger. You don't have kids because you were saying about people that did have kids. So I assume you inferred that you didn't have any. I mean,
oh yeah, no, not right now.
You're a
Especially not where I live.
younger guy, no kids right now. I mean, fuck, dude. I remember when my boner used to touch my belly button too, buddy.
Like,
Go get him, Tiger.
Look, man. Like my man said it right. He said, "Bad boys move in silence and violence, son." Legit. Like, yo, let nobody know nothing about shit until motherfucking you are fully prepared to let a motherfucker know. Move calculated. This world is fucking dangerous, and everybody's trying to get their fucking nut. And half the time they're gonna try and take their nut out of you. You know what I mean? Like, yo, fuck that. That's cool. I'd much rather break a motherfucker's, you know what I mean, head open with some bullshit without them motherfucking knowing I'm coming. It's that simple, right? And the moment you start speaking out your mind about whatever it is that you motherfucking doing, right? Yo, you're putting a motherfucking label on yourself and putting a target on yourself that fucking moment. Now, does that mean that like you just let motherfuckers run you over? No. Right? But you ain't gotta say shit. You don't have to do nothing. You ain't gotta be all loud and wild and violent. Let me tell you like this. I have my buddy, he did 8 years in the Bing, and this fucking dude comes over, starts starting shit with him in the bar. My man walked over and whispered in his ear. He said, "Hey, look, you want a fucking problem? Yo, you ain't gotta be all loud about shit. Let's step outside right now." Right? And that's it. Yo, my man fucking, the dude looked at and said, "Oh shit, I don't want no problem." The motherfucking guy went on about his fucking business. You don't have to fucking immediately like fucking just start spouting off at the mouth about bullshit. You know what I mean?
Well, and that's not what I was trying to say. Like, if you're being loud like that and you're drawing needless attention to yourself, you've already lost. That's dumb. Don't do that shit.
Yeah,
what I'm saying,
guess what?
More,
you know
what I'm saying
like,
is,
yo, what you said was like, let no one silence you. Like, yo, fuck that. You know what I mean? Like, yo, think about what you're saying and who you're around before you fucking speak. Legit. Because like you want to like fucking stand here and eyeball everything to make sure that, you know what I mean, like, yo, you're not playing into their fucking garbage, and you know what I mean, like you're fucking feeding their fucking bullshit. Because like, let's be real, and like what you were brought up, like somebody was gonna do something with your kids or whatever it is, like, man, listen, like you have to understand that like if you're not prepared to battle that goddamn second, you know what I mean, like it's gonna be what the fuck it, like they're gonna fucking stand here and take advantage, they're gonna take advantage of you and roll you the fuck over.
well, if you're not prepared, you're already lost. Let's be blunt.
Not really. You know what I mean? Like I've won many battles long term. Like just it's not difficult to do. Right? Like you can win battles long term. You just don't have to fucking stand there and stand your ground that second.
I guess we're approaching this from two different perspectives, but more of what I'm. Yeah, but I know, but more what I'm trying to say, like, Pino, I'm sure that if somebody came to your house and was trying to do something, you're already prepared for that.
Yeah,
that's my point. If you're not prepared already,
like
you're already fucked.
Breathing out of the back of his neck if need be.
Oh, and that's exactly my point. If you're not prepared right now, you've already lost. You might as well just admit defeat.
Yeah, but I'm saying though, like you really think I'm gonna go outside, motherfucking like call motherfuckers out
look
because
for
I'm
people.
upset?
No, that would be dumb, and that would be incredibly stupid. I'm not saying that you need to go out there and stand on a soapbox and preach to the entire world what you're trying to do. What I'm saying is, don't. Maybe I should rephrase it.
Mhm.
Don't allow people to force you into a certain value or mindset that you're not okay with, especially if you know it's wrong. Like, don't just sit there and be forced like you have to condemn this, you have to concede this, and preach to everyone you say this or that. No, just don't answer them.
You know how many places I worked in that when I started working there, like the environment was like, I started working at the mill, and the environment was like we had just reopened the mill after it closed down in the 90s. So like we were rebuilding the machines and like getting everything back up to snuff and all this type of stuff. So we pretty much had to run the place. 3 years later, they had an engineer and they were like fucking putting in motherfucking automated systems and like fucking turning into a more of a professional environment, right? And all this type of bullshit, right? And it was time for me to go.
Because when it gets more comfortable, that's when the pussies come out.
Right. Yeah. Like it was time for me to go, because like there was nothing left there for me. You know what I mean? Like the reasons that I thoroughly loved that job was because of the fact that the boss would come over, look at me, go, Tom, go get some bodies and get this done. Right. And I would motherfucking go and do that. You know what I mean? And like I thoroughly enjoyed the responsibility that I had of doing that as a whole. Right.
You know what's funny is when I used to work for Walmart, they actually had me to start off in the warehouse. It was just me and two other guys, and we're cracking jokes, a bunch of that's what she said jokes and all that. We're having a good time, we're sweating. But as soon as I went back to the main Walmart store, then I had to deal with the lady managers, other coworkers. I'm like, I was already looking for another job. I was done. I was like, nope.
Yeah,
you guys can't.
And like, here's the thing: if you would have spoke out and said, "I fucking hate working for a bitch," right? You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
you wouldn't have had no money to eat, and you would have. Not only that, you would have got a shitty recommendation for like a next place you went to.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Well, technically, I did get fired anyway, only because my schedule was just so wacky and crazy, confused. It was different times, and I went at the wrong time for like the fourth time. They're like, "Yeah, we gotta let you go." I'm like, "Oh shit, I went at the wrong time again." But no, it would have been like you said. I was silently looking for another job anyway, and I wasn't saying shit to nobody. So you're not wrong.
And that's the point, right? In the end of the day, like that's where we are. It's like, yo, look, man, listen, like you go along to get along until you're ready to motherfucking move. Right? Like, yo, don't stand here and let somebody else get your emotions all out of whack. And you got to motherfucking just stand up and go, yo, fuck this. I'm a motherfucking do what I want to fucking do. This is my shit. And I'm not fucking dude. Like
that's why I'm going back to school to work with my hands, work with guns, work with computers. I don't want to deal with a bunch of fucking dumbasses who can't handle a joke or speak any slight truth and get offended.
And here's the thing, right? So like when you're talking to like kids, right, you're preparing them for like when they first hit the world, right? And like you want to give them the best opportunity they can to like, fucking be able to interact on the way that's going to motherfucking be most positive for them. So like you don't want to raise your kids to be little virtue signaling bitches who are going to motherfucking stand up, speak their fucking mind, doku, right? You
don't
want
send
them
them to
to
public
motherfucking
school.
like
There's your solution.
Right. Yeah. You want them to motherfucking be successful and be able to go into a motherfucking job and have individuals respect them, because let's keep this a buck, right? When you have a homie, I don't know if any of y'all have friends. I have friends where like literally like he's always been like I have buddies who are like just silent, right? They're quiet. And like that nigga will pull every piece of pussy in the goddamn bar, right? Because that motherfucker will just post up in the corner and like just massively confident, right? But quiet. Ain't got to say a word to nobody about shit. Just the look on his fucking face lets you know that motherfucking mean business, right? And that's what you want from your fucking kids. You want your kid to be quiet, to be respected, to have individuals come and ask them, right? To motherfucking like find out what they're about, right? To try and get them to open up. And your kid don't have to motherfucking offer nothing. That's what you want from your kid, because then the ball is completely in his court and he has control of things. That's the best way to raise your motherfucking children. It's not to teach them to motherfucking stand up and be counted. No, fuck that. I don't want my kid to stand out at all. I want my kid to motherfucking be silent, have the ball in his fucking court, and motherfucking make so many moves behind the scenes that nobody sees him fucking coming. Like that's what you want from a child. That's what you want from your fucking children. You
like
want to be that
sneak
savage.
around, get shit done.
Yeah,
nobody knew.
But you know, that's not what I was saying about when I mentioned don't let people silence you. I'm not saying to go out there and stand on a soapbox and preach to the world what you believe. What I'm saying is don't let people force you to be quiet or tell you what you should think or what you can't think or what you should say or what you can't say. Fuck that.
No, they should. People should force you into that position.
No, Peanut, what I'm saying is they should not force you into being quiet. If you don't like what the hell, if they don't like what you have to say, it doesn't mean you have to say anything about it back. But you shouldn't sit there like, oh, you need to espouse your approval for this or approval for that, and you need to do this and that. You need to bend the knee. You need to lick my boot. Nah. Don't let people fucking do that to you. It doesn't mean you need to respond to them. It doesn't mean you need to stand on the fucking mountaintops and preach what you fucking believe in. But it doesn't mean you need to fucking bend the knee to these fucking idiots either. Don't let anybody do that. So I guess I should rephrase it. Don't let anybody force you or bully you into fucking thinking one thing or believing one thing that you don't agree with simply so that you can fit in with society.
That's morals and values. That's a whole different animal. Right.
Well, that's more of what my point was, though. It doesn't mean you need to virtue signal about things. It doesn't mean you need to agree with shit. But like you're saying, if you don't agree with it, yeah, you probably should keep your mouth shut until you're ready to make a move. But it doesn't mean that you need to sit there and do like what all these fucking idiots, like for just using an esoteric example, like these idiots in Hollywood do, say half the shit that we know half of them don't fucking believe because their fucking history would prove that they don't. But you don't let people force you into fucking into sacrificing your morals and values simply for the sake of acceptance of society. No, at that point in time, you just keep your fucking mouth shut. Like you said, you don't fucking capitulate. You don't say anything. You just let it roll over you and you make sure that you're not needlessly becoming a target and you make sure you're fucking quiet. But if you do have a moment where you actually can turn the tide in your favor, like what fucking Ricky Gervais does, then do it.
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, yo, if your kid grows up and motherfucking hosts the Grammys, by all means, he should motherfucking roast these some bitches. You know what I mean? But I highly doubt any of our kids are going to motherfucking host the Grammys. But yeah, anyway, yo, look, man, it's been 3 hours and I have to, you know what I mean, go and fucking finish this goddamn laundry up and shit. You know what I mean? So I'm going to go.
Where my gorilla titties, motherfucker.
Yo, like it is what it is. So, man, listen, thank you, everybody. TKMAO, Surplus, Doku, Florida, man. Yo, man, anybody wants to motherfucking donate to the show, Streamlabs is in the motherfucking description, man. Listen, y'all do videos, whatever the fuck. Make sure it's worth my motherfucking while. Don't be paying me $5 and expect me to do a 2-hour video for you. I'll punch you in the face, tell you to eat a dick and keep your money. Right?
Wait, if I pay like 100, do I get a lap dance or anything like that at all?
I mean, like, yo, look, I'll give you a private motherfucking show, buddy. You know what I mean? It is what it is. I'm a whore. Yo, I'm Tom Peace of Pinoy News. Y'all know the deal. Like, share, and subscribe. Hit that motherfucking notification bell. More motherfucking on the bullshit. You know how it works, man. Yo, peace. You like one? I'm out. And broadcast.